Fergus. How are you tonight?
I'm very well. I want to say something that you told me about 10 years ago.
Oh
Right.
no.
No, about being a professional speaker. You
Okay.
you saw me speak about 12 years ago as a speaker. And of course, I was brilliant in all sorts of ways, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But what you said was, which was very useful to me, and this is for everybody to listen to, is look at the shape of my face, right? Ready? Everybody, look. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. And what Cindy said, who was at the back of the room at the time, there were about 60, 70, 80 people in the room. And she said, Fergus, you look miserable. Smile more because your face looks miserable. And so when I've been making films, I've actually had people do makeup. So literally, and so that is the same for when you're doing a presentation, okay, as a speaker. So I know it's a light point, but it's also a serious point. You have to look quite happy and engaged with your audience. I tend to have a fairly serious face. My father called me when I was an actor in the 1960s, right? And he came into the control room and I was doing this mega big television film. Oh my God, it was, I'm not going to even talk about it really, but no, he went into the control room when we were doing the final dress rehearsal and he called me a po-faced, the last word, 4 letters, and it starts with an S. And he said, they will put extra shots in of you if you're doing good expressions. But if you're just standing there, I said, look, it's Nelson's funeral. What am I going to do? Am I going to smile? He said, well, if you're doing lots of expression. No, I've just met Nelson's widow. I'm not going to be smiling. And he said, no, but in a way, he was right. You've got to keep your face lively when you're doing a presentation or a speech. Because otherwise, and you're the one who told me, Cindy, you told me, because I stood, when I was married, I had my own recording suite in Yorkshire, and I stood, thanks to you, thanks, Cindy, but I stood in front of about a 60, 70, 80-inch screen with a projector on it, watching myself and talking along while I was listening to some music and making myself smile. And actually, you're right, Cindy. It's a point I learned from you.
Thank you.
No, if you smile for your audience, they will like it. If you don't, they won't. If you look serious, too serious, then I mean, my stuff is serious. I get so serious about my work. Right, I'm going to show you how to use your voice better and how to do a better presentation and how to do
serious that actually you start putting people off.
Yeah, exactly.
But suddenly you take from a very. You are very lucky in that your topic can be so incredibly fun, engaging, and participant, interactive.
Yeah.
That if you're then being so too serious, I mean, yeah, of course there are times to be serious, but if you're too serious, then you're taking the fun out of it. You've just sucked the life out of it. But anyway,
even no, you're right. Even
thank you.
If you're talking about things like money or finance, or I'm incredibly lucky in that when I speak, which I do, as you know, quite a lot, and I'm speaking tomorrow afternoon at GKIC in London, which will be great, and lots of people will be there. And some of them may become clients of mine. If they don't, I don't mind. I'll be there because I don't care. I get to speak to an audience and have fun. Okay. But I'm very lucky in that I am, if you like, a sandwich board for what I do. So if I stand up to speak and say, I can show you how to speak more effectively, they think, oh, yes, maybe he can. Because he's on the radio a lot and he sounds like a radio person. Okay, maybe he can teach me to speak. But what does somebody do? Okay, this is a serious point now for our audience, for the people listening now. And please come in the room and call all your friends in. Just keep tweeting it to everybody you know, because this is free stuff and it's worth a fortune. So just call everybody in.
Don't tell them all.
No, tell everybody, because then they can come in and later they can pay us. Okay, fine. Anyway, if I was a finance director, okay, or and I've trained quite a few of those, or chief executive of a company, a really big or a small company, okay, I get up and say, I want to tell you about the widgets we make. And our widgets are the best widgets in the world. In fact, nobody makes a better widget than we do. Well, they don't necessarily believe you because they think, okay, tell me more about your widgets. Sell me your widgets when you're presenting. Now, I'm lucky because what I'm doing is I'm selling how to speak better. So I've got the easiest job of any speaker, because if I speak well, they think, yeah, maybe he could teach me to speak better. As our friend Rod Sloan said, yeah, you get up there and you're a sandwich board for what you do. Mm-hmm. So for everybody else, for everybody listening and coming in the room now, and please bring all your friends in, what they've got to do is work out a way to captivate their audience.
And you've got to do that instantly.
Yes, you have. You've got, I say it's 0.005 of a second, provably, scientifically, but lots of people say 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But if the sound of your voice is wrong, it's 0.005 of a second. But we're ignoring that today because we're not talking about the vocal stuff. We're talking about the bookings stuff. And we've discussed it already because everybody in here thinks we've just come on here. No, we've discussed this. We've actually planned it for you all, darlings. You know, we've worked out what you need. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? No, ignore I said that. I didn't say what you need. What will help you to be better as a speaker in business is to use various different tools with your mind and with your voice. And I want somebody to come into the room as a volunteer. Come on, somebody, come in the room as a volunteer to do an exercise with me, which will help everybody else. Oh, real brilliant. Product designer and marketer. Okay.
Why, hello.
Hi. Hello, okay. How are you? Hi. Oh, it looks very afternoonish time wherever you are.
Yes, it's what is it? 2 p.m. where I am. I'm in Vancouver, BC.
Oh, lovely area.
I've got a lot of relatives there, so that's fine. Okay.
I don't know them probably.
No, they'd have my surname, McClelland. No.
Don't ask. I hate that. Oh, you're from Canada. Do you know Bob? That's big country.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. For everybody watching and listening, Real has just volunteered to be a volunteer because he's come in here now, so he's a victim. No.
Play nicely. No. Play nicely tonight. You promised.
I did. I know. Okay. I'm going to show everybody who's watching. No.
It's okay.
This is an exercise I've done lots of times with lots of audiences. And when you do it with an audience, a group audience, you've actually, because we were talking about this earlier, Cindy, you've got to be very tough with your audience because they get carried away and you have to be able to shut them down very quickly. So what I'm going to do with Real, okay, and there's only one topic we can do it on, and it's called the and but exercise. Okay.
The and but.
Yeah, and but. Okay. Right.
Okay.
And I've tried it on various topics with lots of professional speakers I know, and it only ever worked on one topic. Actually, it worked on two. One was fox hunting, and the other was capital punishment.
Okay. Two very big emotive topics over here.
It's got to be very emotive. So capital punishment is the top one. So what you do, Real, with a friend of yours, and you're going to do it with me now. Thank you, Real, for being brave enough to volunteer. If I had everybody in the room speaking now, I'd get them to applaud you for being gutsy enough to volunteer.
Oh, hang on. Let's give them some props.
Yeah.
You're now ahead of all of us. Go on.
Yeah, I've only got one. Come on, people.
Everybody, props up. Everybody.
Props up.
Props them up. Okay. Now,
who's leader?
This exercise...
I got to work it a little, you know.
Yeah. I used to do this exercise with my ex-wife who taught it to me, but she's my ex-wife. Remember, she's my ex-wife. But it was we used to do it for 4 or 5 hours in a car driving from London to North Yorkshire.
Is this wife your ex-wife?
That's part of the reason she's my ex-wife. No,
you get to know it quite quickly.
This exercise, honey. Okay, we got time.
Okay. Now the point of this exercise is that you cannot say the other person is wrong. So you can't say but or however or no or don't. Okay?
So you can't use negative words? Is that
you can't negate anything they say, even if you hate it. Right? You've got to find a way to argue a positive version of why you disagree with them. Now, the great thing about this is it's a very good exercise for business, okay, which is what we're talking about, is how to get more speaker bookings. Okay, now let's say you speak to the CEO of some huge company And they say, yeah, real. Okay, what can you bring us? And you say a couple of things, and then he throws you a blinder out of left field, as you say in America and Canada. Okay, which you're not expecting. Okay, you've got to be able to flow quickly into a response. Now, this exercise, the and but exercise, you say and to everything they say, and I see what you mean. However, I've just said however. Boom, I've lost a point. You see? It's really hard to do. Okay, so, and then you swap over.
I actually have a technique for this, so let's see how this goes. Okay. This is actually one of the ones that I learned a while ago, and went, I know how to deal with these now.
Okay.
I have a different term for it, and I'll tell you afterwards. But let's try.
Okay, real, you start out as in favor of capital punishment, and I start out against capital punishment, and we do 30 seconds, right? Real, you start.
This is a stretch for me. I'm Canadian.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, we kill people in England. No, we don't actually. Anyway, in America they shoot them, but in Canada they don't. So, okay, you are in favor of capital punishment for 30 seconds. Give me a presentation, and I will do my refutation without denying anything you say. Go for it.
I think it's important for us to take a very hard stance on criminal behavior and end people's lives when we say we're going to end this business of life imprisonment that lasts for 15 or 20 years until we don't have room for them and send them back up the street is unacceptable, and I think we should just off all of them because they're criminals.
I think that is a fantastic point of view, Real. And I must admit, I've been there myself. I've seen people killing babies. I've seen people killing women and children and things like that. And I thought, oh, how terrible, how terrible. My challenge with that viewpoint, my challenge is, doesn't that make us the same as them? And like, okay, it's like my mother explained to me when I was a child. If somebody kills somebody because he's got 10 people in his gang, right? And he kills somebody. And then the government comes along and says, well, we've got 100,000 people in our gang, so we're going to kill you. Doesn't that make us as bad as him? What's your thought, Real?
I think what you're saying has merit. I think it's important to consider these sorts of values. I think it's also important, however, to consider alternate points of view, like killing them right away rather than spending the money on housing them for years.
Oh, I love that view, Real. That has so tempted me so many times to think, let's swap over. Let's swap over, Real, because you're very good at that point. Okay.
You're very good. You didn't get caught up on the curveballs.
No, not once. Okay. Real, I want to tell you that everybody who kills somebody needs to be executed. And I'm thinking, could we maybe use their organs as donors? The challenge is that their organs may be incensed in a bit with their minds. You know, their heart might have their memories and things like that. But other than that, chop the little sods up, chop them up, hang them up outside the city, and make everybody see what happens to you if you're a killer. What do you think, Real?
Is that something that's important to you? Do you think that's something that would help with your business?
Yes, I do. I think it would help everybody's business if they saw the example of what's right and what's wrong. And I think it's wrong to kill people. And therefore, I think we should string them up from the streets, lampposts, I don't care, crucify them, whatever it is, chop them up in public, chop their heads off, like they used to do in the good old days.
I understand that you have this. Let me just make a note of that, and we'll circle back to that later.
Oh, fantastic. You've played this game before, haven't you?
You know what? It's the sales strategy closing thing. I've heard it called a porcupine question, and the response is always, rather, if they throw you a porcupine, basically just address the porcupine. Say, so is that something that's important to you? Let me make a note of that on the contract and move past it, and don't get stuck in a yes, no, we can't. Like, it's just, is that something that's important to you? Great. I'm just going to make a note of that. And then we can come back to that. I'll meet with whoever I need to, blah, blah, whatever. But what you've done is addressed it to them in a way that lets them move forward without a confrontation, even though not a chance in hell we can do that. But, if you want to move to the end of the sales flow, then deal with the porcupine question. And the best way to deal with the porcupine is to just give them back the porcupine. Is this something that's important to you? Okay, let me make a note of that. And then you move move on.
Real,
so
real.
It was a similar strategy.
You have done the exercise perfectly, Real. I used to do it with my ex-wife, and we were driving the car for 5 hours from London to Yorkshire. And yeah, as soon as you say yes, but you lose a point. Once you've lost 5 points, you're out the game. And the great thing about this, and Real is brilliant at it. Well, it's his training as well, and he did it perfectly. Thank you, Real. Is it makes people think much more carefully, and they have to construct their argument based on supporting the other person and giving their own view. And that's why that is a very powerful exercise for when somebody, let's move it back to getting more bookings as a speaker, which is why I brought it up. Okay, you're speaking to someone, you want to book you as a speaker, and they bring up something as far out on left field, as they say in America and probably Canada as well, on the other side of the hockey pitch or the ice hockey pitch or whatever it is, right? And or googly, if they bowl you a googly if it was cricket.
Duck.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. You've got to be ready to have a very good refutation, which isn't a denial. And it's one of the most powerful tools of improvisational speaking. And like Real is brilliant at it. I won't do any more with him because he's too good.
No, actually, you are so right, because one of the problems with online profiles and things like this is that if you can't learn that subtle art that you've got, Real, and what you're trying to say, Fergus, people get caught up on video, and that is then played back. And once it's out there, you can bet your bottom dollar that a conference organizer or a potential buyer is going to find it, see it, and kind of go, ooh, I didn't think that of you. I mean, the media is full of people that have fallen into that kind of trap.
Yeah.
So,
and certainly for speaker bookings, as well as, given that we're on Blab now, which is an internet service, which I think is wonderful and has massive potential. And I hope everybody tweets to everybody they know and say, come on, come into Blab, because Blab is brilliant, even though my green screen is there and the film isn't on it at the moment, but it will be next time, I'm sure. It's got so much potential to help people to be better speakers because they can do films on here on Blab, and they can, the challenges, like Rial's great at it. He can just market himself easily. He's just brilliant. I'm tempted to throw him out. I won't, because
but what I'm going to ask him, do you actually do speaking yourself, or are you interested in getting more speaking? I mean,
yes, I mean both. I have spoken on a few occasions. I actually think I may have got a speaking gig off of your website, Cindy. I spoke at an event called Internet Profits in Chicago a number of years ago. And I'm pretty damn sure it was like Nita Speaker. It was like something with your name. If it wasn't your site, it was named something very, very close to it. So it was kind of funny. And actually, I'm going to do a little self-promo here and stick a link in the sidebar. I've got a new startup that I'm doing that was just selected to present, to be one of the startups in the startup channel at Web Summit in Dublin in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And yes, in Dublin. So I'll be going to Dublin, and we're pitching this startup concept, which is a kind of a private TV network for businesses.
Oh, excellent!
And with an ad exchange, you'd like it. It's sort of a community banner exchange program for TVs that are in bars and restaurants and fitness places, those kinds of places. So anyway, I'm excited because I haven't come out of my little lab for a while, so it's fun to go and get in front of people, and so here's my thing.
Well, you can always sign up to our website, to the website onespeaker.com. It is free for speakers. That's my little plug. But I will warn you, it has actually been crafted in such a way that organisers will actually spot if you're new, or you actually know your subject, or whether actually you're out of your depth and you're just winging it. And that's
fine. I'm pretty comfortable in front of an audience. I mean, I've spoken a number of times. I generally don't. I have a few different topics that I present very well on, and this is a new area for me. But I've definitely done the kind of how to outsource and all that kind of internet marketing stuff.
Okay, I'm going to definitely hand it to Cindy, because Cindy books speakers. So Cindy is the one to tell you, Real, how to get booked as a speaker. What is it like? Seppa in Iran did a brilliant presentation about how to get booked as a speaker in Iran, and it was uncompromising and it was brilliant. And it was virtually the same thing you say all the time, Cindy, which is what a speaker booker needs from a speaker. So you tell Real and everybody else. And Mick, I'll speak to you in a minute about your nervousness about speaking, because it's rubbish. You don't need it. But anyway, Cindy, over to you.
Especially if you can be in a terrible day and talk to everyone who gets in. I mean, that's fantastic skill. With speaker bookers, they're actually needing now. Sefer has a different criteria of what he's looking for because it's different culture. He has a different business model. But the majority of bookers are actually either looking for somebody who brings bums to go on the seats, which is their bottom dollar. But the ultimate is, and what quite a few of the bookers have forgotten, and some of the good and the better bookers are out there, and conference organizers, etc. I'm talking about the guys who hire, are all about the audience engagement and experience. And the good ones will actually say to you, and one of your questions back to them is, what is it you can do for the audience? What are their takeaways? And the more you can engage and you have the right audience, the more business you get, not only just from the audience, but also from the bookers, because they love you, trust you, are happy because you've made a happy audience for them. As well as people in the audience saying, great, I need that information to come back, and I need to hire you to come and do that to my event, or, which is the ultimate goal, is I need you to come back and help my company, my organization, to do what you're talking about. Now, the trick is with getting more bookings at that particular level is making sure that you've done your homework right and you're actually saying the right things to the audience, and that is doing your homework on who the audience is and why they are there. And there's always two reasons why an audience are there. The open one, as in it's a conference about sales and it's how to get more sales. And then you got the hidden one, which is what pain is it that they are trying to address. Now, the pain could be anything from I've been told to come here as I'm going to get sacked by my boss to, oh, sugar, we're in deep doo-doo and I need something to fix it fast. It could be anything, but you're not going to be privileged. So for me, I tend to find that just reading through, getting a chance to talk to the organizer and the reason why they're putting the event on is always key, because then that way you can at least craft your information so the organizer is satisfied. And if they're satisfied, they're going to tell all their friends that you was a great speaker to have, and you stay in their little black book, which is always good and handy.
So when you're saying you're approaching them with sort of panel information and sort of engagement. So here I have an SMS survey that I'm going to run, and I'm going to build a list and give them all a distribution of my book or my whatever my sales tools are.
You do have to be careful with that, because some event organizers do not like the fact of you taking your books down, or sorry, let me rephrase it. They don't like you taking their audience details from them, because depending on the type of audience it is and how the event organizer has got those details, you're stealing their clients in some cases. So other speakers, what they've done to get around this is, have you got a promotional pack that you're giving out everybody? If you are, can I put my book into that promotional pack? Can I get you, instead of paying for my fees, or my fees are 5,000 and that includes a book, the fact that your 5,000 is actually paid for the book as well, is however you work it out. Or you can do it where you actually have a competition and you say, right, we'll put a jar for those people at the front desk that they can put their business card in to win my book. Or you can actually just do a bit of a throwaway on stage and say, hi, read from your book, something that's relevant, and then say who identifies with that, and whoever puts their hand up in the audience, make sure it's a guy at the back, and pass the book through the audience to the back, so that as many people as possible can touch that book, because they will all then want one. So there's all tricks like that. But you do have to first of all check with the the event organizer, because they don't like tricks. They don't like people asking for business cards from the stage. They don't like, I'm going to pass out a piece of paper and put an email on. That's the stuff that gets you out of their little black book. And if they book you through our website, they might just review you and give that review for other conference organizers to be wary of you doing that trick.
Yeah. You've got to get permission. Always get permission. Definitely.
Absolutely. You've got to play their game. You've got to understand, for them, it's a business. It's a business, but they don't care about your business. You have to care about their business. You have to care that they are going to make their targets, exceed their expectations, and their audience are going to go away so happy that they're so pleased that they've spent 40 minutes of their life listening to you and singing back the praises back to the event organizer, that they think, great, he's a fabulous person. I'm going to have him and keep him in my little diary. I'm going to make sure that next time I have this need, I'm going to call on him.
About 12 years ago, I think it's about 10 or 12 years ago, I was running the Yes Group in London, sort of. I was joint chairman, deputy chairman, right? And I was also on the speakers committee. And we had to choose speakers for every month. And we had to book them like 6 months in advance. I'm a bit like Cindy here. I'm not really like Cindy, but occasionally I get very organized. Most of the time I just speak, but occasionally I get very organized. And we had lots of people wanting to speak on our stage because we had 2 people. Oh, I love that background reel. Oh, it's gone. That was nice. That was nice. I love that. Yeah. Okay. Puts him on screen. Okay. So we had to book 2 speakers for each month. And we had to book them about 6 months in advance, because the more professional, the bigger a speaker is, like Peter Thompson, for example, or Alan Pease. You've got to book people like that 6 months or a year in advance. Otherwise, or Nigel Rizner, who's a friend of both of us. He's very busy, and he'll be on the 20th, I think, at GKIC with me. But he was booked 3 months ago.
Yes.
You know? And good speakers are booked months in advance. And you tell them what you want from them 3 or 6 months in advance, and you tell them what you want from them. And you're right, Cindy. You've got to know they put bums on seats. And I've done speeches for all sorts of companies, and I've never been booked by an agency. Not even by you, Cindy. Thank you, darling, but you've never booked me. But at the same time, you've got to think, okay, what does the client, the ultimate client, want? And as you know, I love saying this because it's so funny. I'm CPD for the dental industry in this country, which means I'm core professional development for the dental industry in this country, because I can show people, dentists, how to reduce the pain the person in the chair feels by using their voice better. Okay. So I've used voice training for dentists to help them to reduce the pain of the people in the room. Meanwhile, I've also gone to the biggest or the oldest diesel engine company in the country, or probably one of the in the world, actually. And I did a 1 hour speech for them. I got paid, and I'm quite happy to say, I got paid £1,500, which is about $2,300, to go and have a night before in a lovely 5-star hotel and the night after in a lovely 5-star hotel, and do a 1 hour speech for 220 people from all over the world about their wonderful diesel engine company, okay? And used it for voice training for those salespeople. And so I adapted what I had for that particular client. So I've adapted it for dentists, I've adapted it for lawyers, I've adapted it for anyone. And it's the same central message. But everybody, if you want to get more speaker bookings, you've got to go to an agent or to a potential client when you phone them, and you say, okay, what I do is blah, 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 having researched them first. You do need to know who you're talking to before you actually speak to them. Otherwise, they'll think, oh, it's just somebody who wants to book themselves. I'm not interested. But if you say, your company, let me make one up right now. Let me make one up. You make garden gnomes, and your garden gnomes are brilliant, and everybody loves to have a garden gnome. So I want to help you to sell your garden gnomes more effectively. The way I can help you to sell your garden gnomes more effectively is to have your sales team much more energized about how wonderful your garden gnomes are compared with anyone else's. And then we switch into what Cindy's saying now. What's going wrong with your company at the moment that you're not selling more garden gnomes than you are? how can you increase your sales? Because I'm not talking about selling more. I'm talking about what you're losing already when it comes to sales. And then you listen to their challenges and their problems, and you listen and listen and listen and ask them to give you more and more details about their problems. And then you say, okay, right. And then you talk about the ways in which you can help them in your speaking, in your training, in your speech, whatever it is, and you'll get booked, because that's what I've always done, and it always works.
Yep.
Okay.
One way. That's not all.
Words.
If you order now, you will also receive Ferguson's new voice training manual and secret places where you can order a microphone that makes you sound like a god.
Yeah. Exactly.
You've done this before, haven't you?
Oh, Real's brilliant. I love Real. I'm following Real now. And he's got to follow us, hasn't he? Definitely. If you don't follow us, Real, I'll stop giving you props. No, he's very good. He's a perfect volunteer. I said to Cindy earlier, Real, I said, I need to get a volunteer in the room to experience this and to do an exercise. Now, here's another improv exercise then. Ready?
No. Before we... I was going to say, just before we go into improv, because that's the one thing I have found is definitely vital as being a speaker.
Yeah.
Is when you get heckled.
Oh, I love heckles. And
because there are times you're on a stage. I mean, there's a Labour leader who has just been heckled, and he didn't handle it very well at all, and it cost the person who was being heckled was thrown out of the room. The fact that he was one of the biggest donors to the Labour Party is like, well, you know. But me terrible. I'm terrible.
No,
I'm terrible.
No,
I'm terrible.
I have to say, Real, and everybody else in the room, and everybody, call your friends in. This is a good room. Yeah, call your friends in. All right. Okay. Now, I've seen Cindy do the most, she knows, I'm not going to say who it was or when. She was the most merciless heckler ever, right? I won't say who it was, but Cindy knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the person couldn't handle it, okay? They really couldn't handle the heckling. So that meant they looked bad, and Cindy looked great. I love hecklers. I was okay. Let me talk about a time I was heckled, if you like. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I was arranging an event. I won't say the organization, but there was this very, very big man from the world of personal development who was due to be on our stage. Okay. I won't say his name. Okay. Real, answer the phone, please. Right. Turn the sound
he's
off.
heckling. Stop heckling him.
Fine. I'm heckling. Yeah. Turn the sound off, Real. I don't want to hear your girlfriend. Really, I don't. Really not. That's heckling, you see. That's good heckling. Right. Okay, so this man was supposed to be on our stage. And I was told a few days before the event that he wasn't going to be on the stage and he'd be in a hotel round the corner. And I had to go on to an audience of 500 people and explain that he was not going to be here tonight. They paid to see this really, really big name. And they had somebody much more junior instead, who was lovely and a great speaker. But the audience was not happy because they came expecting this really, really big name. And there was a man at the back of the room stood up and heckled. And I was the MC. And he said, so why isn't blah, blah, blah on stage with us tonight? I said, well, actually, he can't be. He's in a hotel round the corner. He'll meet you after tonight's event. He'll meet you tomorrow morning. And he's ever so sorry, but he would love to be here tonight, but somebody else is here in his stead. And 2 or 3 people in the audience says, well, why? Why isn't he here? Well, he can't be. He really can't. His contract has prevented him from being here tonight. And what I did with the heckler, I was able to explain more about what was happening thanks to the heckler. Because I couldn't just stand up and say, hello, everybody. Fred can't be on stage tonight because his contract says he can't. That wouldn't work. So all I did, I stood up and said, I'm afraid Fred, it's not Fred. I always use Fred. I don't know why I use Fred. Anyway, I'm afraid Fred can't be on stage for us tonight. And then this person said, why can't Fred be on the stage tonight? We are being done. So, well, no, actually, you're not being done. He'd love to be on stage, but he'll see you after the presentation. After the presentation. A friend of his. Oh, that's loud. No, I don't like that. Okay, so what happened was the 400 or 500 people in the room got more explanation from me thanks to the heckler. And that's what hecklers are brilliant for. And if you can't handle a heckler, you shouldn't be on stage. You shouldn't be presenting. And I've had lots of them. Hecklers are wonderful. I had a heckler in Iran about 5 years ago, and the other speakers I was there with said, you should have ignored her and told her to shut up and shut her down. I just didn't feel like it, really. But yeah, it's a tight call with hecklers. But hecklers can be very, very useful. And you've got to be good enough through, oh, hi, Mick. Yeah, I've got to tell Mick something. I've got to tell Mick something about speaking. Really,
hi, Mick.
Mick. Just teasing. Come on, Mick. Right, ready? I'm going to show everybody to get more speaker bookings. Okay, to get more speaker bookings.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's all right. Just making sure. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm listening. Sorry.
Okay, good. I'm doing the talking at the moment, Mick.
I know. Sorry, I thought my earpiece had gone off. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean that nastily. I just show off a lot.
Well, I'm just hurt.
Okay. I speak all the time, Mick. Okay.
Very well as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I do go on the radio a lot as well, as Cindy knows, and I'm always showing off about it.
I'll ask you about that later. You carry on, and I'll ask you about it later. I recognise your voice from somewhere.
Yeah, you will, because I've done about 3,000 recordings for Conference Genie. I'm the voice coach for LBC. See what I'm doing now, Cindy? You see what I'm doing?
You're plugging.
Mick, no. Mick is my feed. Hecklers are feeds. Right?
Not no, that was just feeding.
No, stop. Right. I'm going to Cindy's point. It's a serious point, actually, that I am the vocal consultant for about 6 radio stations. Okay. Now, Mick said, where have I heard your voice before? And I've done probably 2,000 or 3,000 recordings for Welcome to the Welcome to Pepsi Cola Conference. Welcome to Force India Focal, whatever it is, with racing cars conference facility. So I've done thousands of those. And people meet me and they say, oh, I know your voice from the radio. No, they probably don't. They probably know it from a conferencing system, or they may know it from LBC or Radio Scotland or Radio Belfast or whatever, Radio Liverpool. Salford City Radio, yeah, it'll be from somewhere anyway. And also because my voice is trained as a sort of generic actor's voice, people think, I must know his voice. No, you might not actually, Mick. But what I want to tell you, Mick, this is especially for Mick and everybody else to do with speaking, to get booked as a speaker, because Mick has got this lovely northern accent. I don't know if it's Yorkshire. Bloody hell, it's North Yorkshire, isn't it? Is it?
No.
Bloody hell. I lived up there for 5 years. Bloody hell. Now then. Oh, blimey.
Yorkshire.
Well, it's on the border, isn't it? The two are on the border of each other. Right.
Well,
I lived in North Yorkshire for 6 years, so
my parents from Yorkshire, so I was brought up in an house for the Yorkshire people. So, but basically, I was born in Lincolnshire.
But you're brought up by people with Yorkshire voices, so you've got a Yorkshire voice. All right. Whereabouts? Yeah. Whereabouts were they from? Before I get on to the important point. Whereabouts?
Dad's from near Rotherham, Conisbrough, and my mum's from Doncaster.
Okay, I know Donny. Very well. It's lovely, actually. Okay, right. So I got the accent where it came from. Okay, one of the things you've got to do as a speaker is be able to listen very well and to pick up accents of people. So Mick's accent, although he grew up in Lincolnshire, he's got a lot of Yorkshire in his accent. And I've talked about this previously, and I might talk about it again, if everybody's very lucky, in a later blab, where we get our voices from. Anyway, Mick has the challenge that he can speak to a small group of people, but not a large one. Okay, Mick, here's a thing for you. Prince Charles is actually very, very shy, right? Yeah. He can speak to 1,000 people or on television with no trouble at all. But if it's 20 or 30 people, he can't.
Really?
Because he thinks they're going to ask him questions or interrupt him. If it's a small audience, he's scared. If it's a huge audience, he doesn't mind. And I'm not giving anything away because he's announced it. Right. So Mick,
I've met him twice. He ignored me both times.
Yeah. And I was at the Rundle Cup of polo, right? And they had they were doing polo. Okay? This is while I was married to a very rich lady. Okay,
Oh,
with some friends of hers. Anyway, I wanted to take this picture of Harry Wales.
Yeah.
Harry Wales. Yeah, I think I might know who he is, right?
Yeah.
And there was this bald-headed old grey-haired man in the way. I thought, I want to take the picture. I want to take the picture. He turned around. It was Charles. Oops. Anyway, back to speaking. Nick, right. Everybody listening, and please get your friends in to listen. Otherwise, they're wasting their time and they'll have to listen to the playback. And they can't ask questions either. Right. Mick. Yeah, thanks, Mick.
I've only got 130 followers, though, so I don't expect too much from it.
I've only got 180 myself, but never mind. I'm posting it again. If we all post it, it'll go out. Mick, I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you some props as well, Mick, for having the guts to come in. Thank you. I'm very pleased you did come in. Okay. Right. I'm going to tell you something. I had a client. First, I'm going to tell a story because storytelling is important. Okay. Yep. And Cindy will put up with me doing this. Okay.
I love it. I could listen to you all day.
Well, thanks. You probably will if you're not lucky. You probably will.
Let him.
Okay, right. I had a client who had this incredible voice, and it was like this. And I have to say, it really irritated me. His voice was more powerful than mine. Well, I can fill the Royal Shakespeare Theatre when it used to be 2,500 people. Now it's only 1,120 people. But it's a beautiful theatre, and I could fill that. And they never use microphones in the RSC. And I was with the RSC for a couple of years. Well, they've cut it down to 1,120 people, and it used to be 2,500 when I was a member. And so you had to make sure you could project your voice very well to a very large number of people, because if they couldn't hear you at the back of the gods, and believe me, the theatre used to be so huge. It's gorgeous now. It's lovely. It's very much more intimate with 1,150. It's lovely. I went there last December and I met up with the person who taught me to speak in 1962. Dame Cicely Berry. Lovely, lovely lady. And watched a fantastic play. See, I'm building myself up. Sorry. Mick. Right. This is the one for you, Mick. Right. Yep. This is totally for you. I had this client, and he had 25 people working for him. And he was a design company man. And he was talking to me on the phone. I said, well, why do you want voice training? Your voice is fantastic. Your accent's fantastic. Your voice is very loud. Why do you want to come to me? It's what Cindy was talking about earlier. What is your pain? Well, I didn't say that, but I said, why do you want to come to me for training? And he said, I can't speak to more than 4 or 5 people at once. I said, what? He said, well, I've got 25 people working for me, and I can speak to 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I can go to my BNI meetings in the morning. We won't talk about BNI, Cindy, and BRE, and things like that. Okay, no. That's a totally different blab, which I don't want to do. Anyway, so he said when he stood up to speak to 25 people around a room, and he'd already been speaking to them, and when it was his turn to stand up and speak to 30 people in the room, he'd go blah, 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 and sit down.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do.
Why am I doing that? Okay, here's how I cured that, Mick. And it freaked him so much, he had to leave the room and go outside for 10 minutes and take all his vitamins and then come back in. Right. Okay, what happened afterwards? I won't tell you what I taught him how to do yet. I'll tell you what happened afterwards to him. Okay. I got him doing some Shakespeare out loud very well. And my God, he was louder than me and I hated that. Okay. Right. He did it very well. And then I taught him this technique, which I'll tell you in a minute. So hopefully everybody's hanging with bated breaths, including Mick. Right. I'll give it to you in a minute, Mick, because it freaked him. So what happened afterwards? This is storytelling, which we'll go into another time. What happened afterwards? He called me up about a week later and said, I need another training session from you, Fergus, on storytelling, because that one really worked that you did, which I'm not telling you about yet, Mick. Okay. No. I'm keeping you waiting. It's a teaser. Okay. No, it's all right, Cindy. Relax. This will be perfect for everyone. How to get more speaking bookings. This is what it's all about. Okay. So then he came for a storytelling day. And at the storytelling day, he said, well, I actually applied to be in a Shakespeare play. What? Yeah, I applied to be Capulet, the father of Juliet, but I don't think I got the part. I said, yeah, okay, fine. So a week later, he phoned me up, Fergus, I got the part. I need a day on Shakespeare, which, of course, being a Royal Shakespeare Company myself, I was able to give him a full day of training on Shakespeare and a lot of free Skypes and free email, because if somebody books me, I give them a lot of free stuff, email and phone and Skype. Well, I always do.
Yeah.
Why not? If they pay me, they deserve me for life, basically. I know that's pathetic, but it's true. Right.
Full package.
So then I trained him up for the play, and I sneaked round there with my friend Anita and watched him do the play, and he was really good. He said, oh, do you know what? I said, what? He said, I've just signed up to be a stand-up comedian. Jeez, man. And he did a 7-week course in training in how to be a stand-up comedian. And he did this film, which I looked at on YouTube or whatever. And it was the filthiest, dirtiest, nastiest stand-up I've ever seen. So I will never tell anybody where it is or what it is. But this was a man who couldn't speak to more than 4 or 5 people. Now, what happened to him in that first session with me? I can't draw it at the moment on a screen, unfortunately, because many blab, many cam, I haven't got working properly here, which is why I've got a lovely green screen behind me, but no lovely picture on it. But I will be doing this. Okay, I want you, Mick, I want you to imagine a triangle, and everybody else, imagine a triangle.
Yeah.
At the top of the triangle is a little matchstick man who's called Mick. Okay.
Yeah. I wish.
Underneath that, no. Underneath the Mick at the top. Mick at the top. Shut up, Mick. Shut up. I'm speaking now. You're not allowed to heckle. I love heckling. Okay, so Mick is at the top of the triangle, and just below Mick is a row of 5 people. Below that is a row of 10 people. Below that is a row of 15 people. Below that is a row of 20 people. Below that is a row of 40 people. Okay. So now we've got about 100 people. I don't know, about 100. Okay. Mick, how many people are you speaking to?
Well, yeah, that's right. The ones just behind me.
No.
No. What? I honestly don't know.
3.
3.
Yeah.
Which are?
The most important one is yourself.
Right.
Okay? Because you'll be hearing yourself as you're standing there. And that is the most important person to speak to ever.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right. The second one is what I call the serpent, which is the audience response, which I can't go into now. It's a big thing. It's how people respond to you. Okay. The third person you're speaking to is every single person in that room individually.
Yeah.
Okay, Mick. Right.
Yeah. I know what you think. Yeah.
Right, Mick. Okay, we've got, I don't know how many people, I hope thousands listening in now.
We've got 10,000 at the moment.
Okay, let's say it is 10,000. It bloody should be, mate, because it's so good. I'm going to
get this for free.
Tweet it again. No, you don't get this for free, mate. Well, you are doing, so you're very lucky.
Well, I have.
Okay.
I'll tweet it again. How's that? Okay. I'll do my work.
I have as well. Thanks, Mick. I love that. I love that Yorkshire Lincolnshire accent, because I lived up there for 6 years. And I shot well, and I hunted well, and I rode my horse well, and they accepted me.
My dad, that's afterwards. Go on,
Okay, we'll leave that to one side for the moment, because that's a different topic. And I'm going to follow you, Mick, right now, and I hope you follow me, because if you don't, you're a twit. Okay, a tweet. Sorry, you're a tweet if you don't follow me. Okay, I'm following you. Okay, right. So imagine, right, let's say I've got, I don't know, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 10 million people in this room at the moment. I actually don't care. Do you know why? Do you know why I don't care?
Because you're just talking to you, the audience.
No, not the audience. No. No, the audience one, Cindy, is only if you're on stage with an audience in front of you. Because then it's a different topic. I won't cover it today. That's another thing for another event. But what you're speaking to is each person individually, Mick. Okay? And that's all you're doing. Like, ready. Okay. Be silent, Mick. Be silent, Cindy. Right? You're not allowed to speak at all. Okay? This is an exercise for everybody listening and watching. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I'm speaking to Cindy, who's a great friend of mine, and I've known her for about 10 or 12 years, haven't I, Cindy? But you can't answer. And I'm speaking to Mick, who I think is really nice. But Mick, you can't answer because you're not allowed to, because you're in the audience. But I know you're thinking, oh, great, Fergus just mentioned me. I like that. He's talking about me. And Cindy's thinking, oh, my God, here he goes again. All right, I'll stop now. Okay. I think I probably pretty accurately got how you both were thinking about this conversation that I was giving to 100 people, 70 people, 20 people. Okay, so you were actually answering me in your head as an individual. Okay, Mick? Think about that.
I do, yeah.
Everybody in your audience is an individual. You're not speaking to 1,000 people. You're not speaking to 1 million. You're not speaking to 100. You're speaking to one person over and over again at the same time. You're multitasking. You're broadbanding, speaking to one person. That's it, mate. That's all you're doing. You're only speaking to one person. That's all you're doing. And if you can do it to 5 people, you can do it to 5 million. It doesn't matter. It's the same. Really. And
when you said that, I'm talking to Mick and it just engages in your head. You think, oh, he's talking to me. But if everybody else thinks that at the same time, then you've got them all on your side, haven't you? Yeah,
exactly. And that's all you're doing, Mick. That's all you're doing. You're speaking to, like, if I said, which I don't do, I do not get this wrong in speeches. Like, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be speaking to all of you, and it's going to be great fun for all of us to share together. No, that's rubbish.
That's preaching.
That is preaching, and that's talking at people or talking to people as opposed to talking with people, which is the powerful thing when you do a presentation. So what I would say, and what I do say, hi, I'm so happy to be here talking with you. Notice the word you, which is individual. I'm really happy to be talking to you and with you and sharing with you. And I make eye contact with members of the audience, and they think, "Oh, bless him." Now, okay, I've got to tell you 2 quick little stories here. Quick little ones.
Yes, because I do need to come back to that point as well.
No, it is very important about speaker bookings. Okay, a friend of mine went to a Queen concert and took some photos. She was madly in love with whatever his name was, the one who died, bless him. Anyway.
Freddie Mercury.
That's it, Freddie, yeah. And she had some photos. It was at Wembley, okay? So she was way at the back, and you could see this little dot on stage, and she said, he smiled at me. Yeah, okay, fine, in the dark. And another friend of mine went to see Phantom of the Opera, and she loved Michael Crawford. And she said, he smiled at me. He's wearing a mask. How could he smile at her from his mask? And she believed he'd smiled at her. That is audience connection. Both of them, Michael Crawford and Freddie Mercury, made such a connection with individuals, Mick. It's an individual thing. It's not a group thing.
I think that Freddie Mercury could walk on a stage and make a funny noise, and and 10,000 people would just make the funny noise back to him. It's just unbelievable. Exactly. That level of audience connection is amazing. And
Robbie Williams is one of my faves. Robbie Williams can take an audience wherever he wants to. He's lovely. He's got it so wrong so many times, but he's got those lovely appealing eyes, and the audience just melts, however big the audience. I would love to have audiences that big. Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
Anyway, back to you.
With heckling, and I think that's another reason why people get frightened of the stage, is what if somebody says something from the audience that can throw me, embarrass me, show me up. And I think that's where people really get hung up rather than just talking about their topic. What you don't realize is if you get one of those and you do some of the techniques that Fergus has just said, and you can handle a heckler, and even if you put them in their place or very nicely respond and actually bring them in and make them a champion and turn them, you are forever an event organizer's dream speaker. And they will find reasons just to have you on board, even if it's down to, I know this is not your area, but can you come along, please? Especially if they know it's an audience with a cantankerous old bugger in it, who's going to be...
They can't turn away.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's come from a head office that they must have this person in the audience.
Well, I hope everybody noticed with Real and with Mick, and Mick's really nice and so's Real. There were various times I shut them up. I said, no, be quiet. Now I need to speak. And I'm doing a presentation tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be very good. And I'm not showing off here. I really am not. I want to share with the audience. But if I've got, like the exercise I did with Reel, when I do that with an audience of, let's say, 50 or 60, and I get them all split into pairs and I switch them backwards and forwards, they get very loud and very excited, and I have to shut them down as the person on stage. So you've got to have massive authority and not be afraid to tell the whole audience, no, quiet now, no, stop, Mick, stop, Reel, no, I need to speak now. And that's what gets you booked. And Cindy will agree. And Nigel, our great friend, Nigel Rizner, he can shut any audience up. And he's very soft and very gentle off stage, but by God, on stage, he does not take prisoners.
He's a demon.
Really, and he makes a fortune as a speaker because he doesn't take prisoners. Go.
No, he's an instant audience delight. The conference organisers love him. They know they've got a safe pair of hands when he's on the stage. He takes command, and he gets repeat bookings time and time again because of it.
Yeah, and that's what this is all about getting booked as a speaker over and over again. Now, Nigel Rizner, the first time I saw him on stage, he wasn't on stage. I trained Bob Proctor's head of sales in the UK, and part of my payment, as well as cash, was to go to lots of Bob Proctor events. So I went, and this one was at Lord's Cricket Ground, and Nigel Rizner was doing a speech. And I went along with my ex-wife, who was about as cantankerous and impish as Cindy is, right? really bad. Because all of Bob Proctor's head people were at the back of the room. My ex-wife was sitting next to me, nudging me and talking. I said, stop it. They can all see us. Stop it. I'll look bad. Right, Nigel Rizner came on stage. He said, okay. He knows my impersonation of him, and I'll be with him in a few days, so he won't mind. He said, okay, everybody, I want you to give me 100% of your attention. Who's going to give me 100%? Who's going to give me 100%? And lots of hands went up. Who's going to give me 90%? Who's going to give me 90%? And a few more hands went up.
Really? Oh.
Who's going to give me 80%? I put my hand up. Oh, you're going to give me 80%? I said, yeah, I'll keep 20% for myself. I know you will. Well, you can't. You've got to give me 100. I want you to be in the room, okay? You need to be in the room, not outside the room. And I don't want you to take notes. I want you to take notice. And he was horrible, but he was captivating. And then about a year later, when I was working for the Professional Speaking Association, I phoned him. I said, Nigel, I need you to do a speech for us. And I did it twice, actually. So I need you to do a speech for us at the spring convention. Can you do it? Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks, Nigel. Right, bye. Bye. Right. Okay. So he knew the date. I told him the date and the time. Right. 5 minutes later, he phoned me back. Oh, sorry, Fergus. I said, what, Nigel? What? You're booked. No, I was really horrible to you just now. I said, no, Nigel, you weren't. You're booked. It's fine. I don't care. Right. Yeah. I booked you for a speaking gig. I'm quite happy. I booked you. I said, no, because I had to get my kids out to school. I said, yeah, okay. Well, I didn't want you to think I was being rude. I said, Nigel, how can you be so sweet and nice on the phone and you're horrible on stage? Well, they need it, Fergus. They need it.
Absolutely. You see, the thing with Nigel, though, is he does do his research very, very, very well. Yeah. And because he's a great presenter, because he commands the room, because he handles the audience, I have known him where the event organizer or even the audience, if it's a small audience like 15 people that he's working with, they've actually asked him to go away and research a topic and come back and present to him, sort of like synthesize the knowledge that he's learnt. And he's extremely good at that, because the other thing he kind of does is pick on things and hooks that get you memorable. So another way to get more engagements as a speaker is getting people talking about you. Nigel has a way of making himself memorable by coming out with acronyms that work. Like I can't remember most of them because there's quite a few of them, but he would turn blab into something that is relevant to people, like business, laughing, and buddies. So that it would always then stick in your mind that whenever you're coming on here, it's always all about business, laughing, and buddies. And you always keep that up front of mind whenever you're doing anything to do with blabbing, so that the first thing you're talking to Fergus is anything to do with business and laughing and making him a buddy at the same time.
Yeah.
So now we're blabbing, and this is how. So by being front of mind, and again coming back down to being the conference organizer, the event organizer's best friend, and ultimately the audience's best friend, your bookings go way up.
Oh, they will
far,
do, yeah. People can't wait to see it. People can't wait to book you. People can't wait to see
you
it.
saying that, Cindy, you're right, because I know Nigel well, and I'll be with him in a few days. Is it Thursday this week at the GKIC? I think it is. Anyway, it's either Thursday this week or Thursday next week. But Nigel is a very powerful performer, and he got himself, because I've seen lots of his films as well, onto the Richard and Judy show, talking about psychic vampires.
Yes.
Now, psychic vampires are real. I mean, it's invented the term, but he made it his. That was the thing. And he stood behind Judy, and he put his fingers onto her two shoulders and said, psychic vampire. And you understood what he was talking about. And there are a lot of people who are psychic vampires. And he made it very, very vivid in his 5 minutes on that show, whereby you couldn't forget him. And
I think he's got that on his YouTube. I think he's got that on YouTube. The same with Chris Akabusi's wife on there. Because what was interesting with Nigel in that particular clip is he did a stint with Mrs. Akabusi. Now, for those of you who don't know Mrs. Akabusi, Chris Akabusi is a very famous sports star personality here in the UK. And his wife was being interviewed, and Nigel happened to be part of the panel for the interviewing. And he was talking about with energy and energy fields and how negative people have an impact on your energy.
Yeah.
And he got her to do this thing, and it didn't work. And he said, well, who was you thinking about? And she said, my husband. He said, well, I'm sorry, but that's a bad relationship because it's a negative impact. And of course, that video was actually done and filmed before they got divorced.
All right. Do you think that was the reason?
No, not at all, not at all. But it was the information this guy picks up and how he then delivers it means that you could give him any topic. He will then find the angle. He can relate it very easy to the audience. So, for example, he's very good for CEO audiences, for example, where they say to him, right, we know that social media is the next best thing. Can you find out and synthesize back? And he does that. He'll go off. He's very quick to read all the gumph, read all the research, find the angles, and come back to the CEOs and say, right, okay, this is not quite so much for you guys as leaders. This is for your techie department, your marketing department, your sales department. They've got to work together like this. And your job is to look at it from this angle and have the budget for X, Y, Z, because this is what they're going to come up with. These are their reasons. And this is the acronym you're going to apply to this lot so that they stay on target. And he's fabulous like that. So again, he gets booked more.
I hate just sitting here talking about Nigel Rizner instead of myself. But at the same time, he's a great example to use. He's a great example to use because the Academy of Chief Executives. Yeah, Nigel Rizner, R-I-S.
Oh, he's on my website.
Is he?
Yeah, he's on my website.
I am as well.
He's on my website.
Nigel is totally focused on the business of being a speaker. Now, the story, I'll very quickly tell it. Right, he was a CEO of a company, and he went bust, and he was a minicab driver in his Bentley, right? And then he went to the synagogue with his dad, and he met the head of the synagogue, and somebody else there, Brian. Anyway, he met Brian, and he said, "Oh, come to my Academy for Chief Executives event." And Nigel was so bright. He said, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to speak about?" And he just did it. And that was it. Boom. He took off like you would not believe for Vistage and for Ace. Because he's listening to what people wanted. He's totally focused on being a professional speaker who gets lots of bookings, which is what this is about today.
Which is active listening. So let me just say hi, Clarissa. Thank you for joining us because I know you're a behavior expert because I was talking to you last night or listening to you last night.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Fergus, Mike, it's very nice meeting you. Cindy,
and you.
Thank you so
nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so I'm a behavioral scientist and researcher and clinician, and I'm also the founder of a very tongue-in-cheek relationship wellness blog called You'reJustADumbass.com.
Why is it tongue-in-cheek?
Well, I knew that if I called the blog, cognitive behavioral techniques to get better dates, no one would ever look at my blog.
I want to look. I'm straight on there, Googling already.
You know what? I've got to come in here. I was going to make one of my CDs. I've told this story before, so I'm not going to do it again. But it was a few years ago, 10 years ago, and it's for Valentine's Day. And I was married at the time, and I thought, how to get more shags. I thought, no, I can't do that. So I called it Love and the Voice. And I recorded a 37-minute CD about love and the voice. And it's a lot of CBT, a lot of NLP, and I have to put my hand up for Count Alfred Korzybski, who founded the whole thing, as I'm sure Clarissa knows.
Yeah, it's, I'm the first one to always start off with, I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about SEO. I'm a scientist. I practiced in infectious disease and psychiatry.
Oh,
wow. If you want to talk to me about math or data, I'm the person to do that. But so a lot of what I just did was just what I thought I'd like to know, and I wish I would have known. So when I created You're Just a Dumbass, I thought what I'm trying to create is an environment that tears down hospital walls, lab walls, clinical barriers. So I just had a place where if anyone needed to just get quick interventions, they could just jump on my site and just get the info. I didn't think about strategy, about how that would translate as audience or build anything. I was kind of just always building everything based on being a behavioral scientist and based on a lot of the work that I did in my career. I was practicing for 17 years and it was part of very amazing research teams and very amazing work. We've done collectively. We've done a lot of work in the areas of pandemics. So, that's very fulfilling. So I'm more driven by social impact. So I kept just thinking, for like you, Fergus, I was thinking about the concept for 10 years, but I was too afraid because of my peers, my colleagues. I'm, lab coat scientist, and, when I decided to do this and just put it out there, the main drive for me was this has to have maximum impact. In healthcare, I have impact, but not like this. Not like where you walk into a room and I have Fergus's fans, Cindy's fans, Mike's fans. It would take me forever to try to reach one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. So do you actually do speaking yourself now? Because it sounds like a fascinating area that you do. I mean, I always get fascinated by behavioral scientists and behavioral things, but that's me. I know I'm quirky.
It's me as well. I've read all the books, believe me. Cialdini, Ledoux, Joseph Ledoux. Ledoux is gorgeous, and Clarissa will know Joseph Ledoux, definitely. And Alfred Korzybski, Clarissa will know him. And so many. I read a lot of behavioral science stuff because as a speaker, you actually do need to know a lot about behavioral science. And what I'm thinking for Clarissa, who's obviously very clever, has got doctorates coming out of her bum, if people don't mind me saying that. I don't have any of them. But she's very, very educated in psychology and psychiatry. I'm self-educated in psychology since 1967, which is a long time ago because I worked with somebody for many years who had emotional problems. So that focused me on working because he was a genius at electronics. But when he was feeling ill mentally, we didn't make any money. When he wasn't feeling ill mentally, we made serious amounts of money. So I was focused on learning psychology. So that was my focus. And so Clarissa, you obviously, you know your stuff backwards. You know your field backwards. to be a better speaker, what do you think you would need to do to be out there as a speaker more?
Well, now since I'm transitioning from very academic and very scientific kind of, presentation to more mass consumption. Could you guys hold on 1 second?
Yeah, sure. Kill the child. Yeah, kill the child, kill the husband, kill the cat, the dog. No, don't kill the cat. I don't mind the others, but don't kill the cat. I love cats. I love cats. I'm a cat nut, really. Okay. Clarissa's back. Carry on, Clarissa. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So now I'm transitioning from a world that I had established authority in to a world that, if anybody asked me, like, well, they ask me all the time, how'd you get on PR Newswire? How'd you get on Fox? How'd you get on? And, other than my content, I never, and seriously, all I did was translate research methods to the blog and structure everything in a mathematical model, which is, my training, right? So it was easy for me to just take what language I understood, translate it for fun consumption, and so a lot of the speaking engagements I've gotten now is because the blog, without me knowing SEO, now you guys are gonna laugh at me, and I know everybody's gonna kill me. Without knowing SEO, somehow my blog just kept getting noticed, very early on. I mean, I used a lot of the principles that I thought were what was modeling human behavior, right? I was running some predictive modeling over what I was doing, for sure, right? And I was doing testing, kind of my own version of A/B testing on a lot of the different social platforms. So I was part of a Twitter chat, had never done a Twitter chat in my life. PR Newswire invited me to do a Twitter chat on my blog because I had just presented during Social Media Week last year about how I structured my blog as, a scientist, and they wanted to hear tips about how I got all the engagement I got. At that time, I had about 2,000 comments on the blog. And I was using Google Plus as a distribution channel, and that at the time had about, everybody was really jumping on Google Plus at that point. And at that point, I think I had 10 million views or something that I was just like, wow.
Wow. That's amazing stuff. But so you've become a bit of a speaker by default from that viewpoint, then.
Right, just because I've been applying some science and math to my techniques, in lieu of not knowing SEO, in lieu of not knowing.
Well, I don't know those. I've got a friend I work with who runs Web Optimizer, and when he invented it in 1996, everybody laughed at him, and they said, "No, people won't want search optimizations. Don't be silly." He was one of the two inventors of search optimization. And so I work with him all the time, and I meet up with him, this Thursday, and it's very good. And he does all that stuff, and I don't. I do voice training, and I stand up and do speeches. So what I'd say to you, Clarissa, and it's what Cindy's already been saying, to get yourself more speaker bookings, okay, as a speaker, which is the central focus of this event, what would you need to do you think, to get yourself booked more as a speaker, Clarissa? And I'm not saying be very good at psychology or psychiatry or things like that, because that will put people off. I'm an expert in behavioural psychology. I know you are, and I find that very exciting, but a lot of people don't. But if you change the wording, to, I can help you to have better relationships because of what I know about behavioural psychology.
It's the outcome. It's a classic The one thing that constantly surprises me about speaking is people forget it's a tool. It's just a business tool.
Right.
And it's turning everything back on its head that people think speaking is all about you getting your message across and this, that, and the other. You're just a conduit to the outcome that they need to receive. So it's classic marketing myopia. What that means is when you go to the hardware shop to buy a drill bit, you're not buying the drill bit, you're buying the hole that it makes.
I love that one. I love that one, Cindy. I'd forgotten that one. It's gorgeous. That one.
Absolutely.
You're buying the hole. You're not
buying the hole. You're buying the hole that the drill bit makes. So speaking, you're not buying the speaker, the speech. You're buying the outcome that they're bringing, the information that they're bringing, and what is going to happen with the audience. So I find with a lot of speakers, especially like yourself, the reason why your content was going up on the SEO is I'm not an SEO expert, but I do know that Google kind of works and it tries to look for people who know their stuff and their content, their keywords, and everything is in line with their algorithm for the person who's trying to find you, that you will come up on their search engine. And if you're saying good things, people then share you. And that's exactly the same with speaking, that if you are giving a presentation that is right for the audience and it excites the audience are going to go back and talk about you.
Yeah.
And that's when your phone starts ringing.
Absolutely.
It's making sure you're talking to the right audience, because I was working with a guy who wanted to be a 15 grand speaker. He was doing 80 engagements a year and was getting paid $0 for it. And it was costing him a lot of money to go up and down the country to give these 80 speeches. So when I actually had a bit of a pick apart of what he was doing, what he was talking about, his audience, where he saw himself, where he wanted to be, there was a huge marketing gap. The information he was giving, totally forgot about this marketing myopia, forgot about what it was he was delivering. The audience he was delivering to could never afford him at a 15 grand speaker. All they could afford was £10. So that means he would have to fill a stadium of guys who can afford £10 to get the 15 grand that he wanted.
Ah, well, that's a totally different model, Cindy.
Absolutely.
Which is the stuff I'm working on right at the moment.
Which is possible.
Selling lots and lots of MP3s of stuff I've recorded at like $10 each.
Absolutely.
So if I get 10,000 people pay $10 for one of my recordings, and Clarissa could do this as well, because she's obviously very clever. She knows a lot of stuff, and I'd love to hear some of her stuff, because I'm sure she's brilliant at what she does. Okay, so if you set up a downline, if you like, of people who can buy your recordings of speakings, because there's nothing. Look, I used to be a professional actor, okay? Child star, recovered, okay? It's very, very hard for most people to stand up and speak to a wall, basically, or a camera, okay? But I've trained people who are brilliant with a live audience, and I go, oh my God, I've seen your films, and they're terrible, they're so wooden. However, if you can do it as well on a recording or a film as you can in person, then you've got something you can sell to like 10 million people at $1 each. Okay, that's $10 million, okay? Or 5 million people at $2 each, or 1 million people at $5 each. Yeah, you work out what do you want to do with your speaking.
Absolutely.
Now, we're talking about get more speaking bookings, okay? Mm-hmm. I do speaking bookings. I do 2 or 3 a month at least, always. And I know I can do those. And you know what? I don't charge for most of them. Some I do, and I get large amounts of money for the paid ones, which I love. But I do a lot of free ones because people in the room, when I'm doing a free one, book me and pay me to train them. So what is it, Clarissa, I'd say, what is it you want to do with an audience? What do you want to give them? And what do you want to make out of them? Because this is being set up by Cindy and myself as about getting more speaker bookings, but we're not talking about doing it for free. We're talking about actually doing a business out of speaking. And my business is speaking and training. Okay.
Yes.
let me disappear,
Okay,
and then somebody else can come
Lovely
in.
having you in here.
I think
Lovely.
one or two
Brilliant.
people,
Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah,
Thanks, mate.
There's one or two people in the questions. I think.
Okay.
Okay, buddy. Speak to you soon.
Would you like to jump on? Aha! Here she comes. She's got a fabulous, fabulous question.
Hello.
Okay. I'm scared of fabulous.
Well, I'm sure your fabulous answer will make everybody's day.
Oh my God, that sounds so Californian, that accent.
Me? I've only been to California once in my whole life, and I was 13.
Infected by it.
Oh, no, twice. I spoke in California. I had a keynote in California.
Oh, my God.
I was there for 24 hours. You don't hear the New York in me? That's usually...
Oh, I do now. New York? New York?
New
Yeah, I
York.
do now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I'm in Pennsylvania now, so I'm starting to soften a little bit.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for having me in your hot seat.
Oh, you're so polite. You're one of those polite Americans I love. I love America, by the way.
Oh, we only do
anyway, carry on.
Are you in London?
I am indeed. Yeah.
I love London. That's my third favorite city in the whole world.
Okay, it's my favorite, but I love LA. It's ridiculous. I love Phoenix. I love LA. I love Boston, but I also love Florence.
Boston. How about Chicago? I love Florence. Oh, I love. Actually, I like Naples. They have the best restaurants. But moving on, my question, if you don't mind, thank you so much.
Oh, she's so much more organized than I am. Oh my God, Bryn, you're so much more organized than I am.
Go with it. God.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
So I'm a LinkedIn trainer. I have a best-selling book. I have lots and lots of work as a trainer. But being a trainer is lots and lots of work. I am looking to transition a little more into the keynote. I've done keynotes for Bloomberg. I'm doing a keynote for McKesson. So I have a few, and they pay sometimes more than a full day class. Blows my mind, 45 minutes. And I mean, it's crazy, right? I'm really good for sales and marketing teams, and they love me for it. So that's great. But how do I transition from trainer to speaker?
That's a very, very good question, Bryn. When I was speaking in Iran about 5 years ago, and
I'm glad you got out alive.
No, it's lovely there. No, it's lovely. Most Americans don't understand. Iran is gorgeous. The politics are terrible, right? And the murdering women for having adultery is terrible.
A little bit bad.
The people are lovely, and hospitality is well. I was going on a 5-star speaking engagement for 2 weeks in Tehran, so I was quite spoiled, right, with jacuzzis and all that sort of thing. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now, Bryn.
So trainer to speaker.
Oh yeah. Trainer to speaker transition. Okay. I was there with a mutual friend with Cindy, Graham Codrington, and he's a South African speaker. And he watched me on stage and he said, Fergus, you're a trainer turned speaker. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I've only ever been a speaker, but you're a trainer stroke coach turned speaker, and it shows. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when you're up there with the audience, you're always engaging with them on a personal level. I said, yeah, that's the way I do things. He said, yeah, I do speeches, and I do a speech for the audience and a presentation for the audience, which I've written, I've thought through, I've got my slides, I've got my pictures, I've got my air guitar, and I just do my presentation. And Graham does his presentation, and it's a wonderful presentation. He's a really, really nice man. And he's very gifted at the stuff he does, which is incredibly detailed about the X generation, Y generation, Z generation, all that sort of thing. Very, very technical. And
the accent doesn't hurt.
Well, no, it's a slight South African accent, very slight South African accent. But apart from that, he's like huge. He's like 6'2", South African, lovely man. And he gets on the stage and he commands the stage as a speaker. I don't. I get up on stage and I command the stage by sharing with every member of the audience and playing with the audience.
That's what I do.
And laughing with the audience. That's fine. You can do that. It's a totally different type of speaking. And what he said to me is, Fergus, you do a totally different type of speaking. I know you've come from training and coaching, which I have, and being a professional actor and so on, many, many years ago. So I come from a presentation acting background, And for me,
comedy.
Yeah. The audience laughs all the time. I went into one of Rachel Resnick's the other day, and she said, "Okay, Fergus, come into the room," and I had them laughing. I couldn't help it because I play. Okay, a lot of speakers don't play.
They don't know how to.
Nigel doesn't know how to play. Nigel Rizner is a wonderful speaker.
Yeah.
Nigel Rizner. Okay, because we've been bigging him up a lot. Nigel does not play with the audience. He challenges the audience. He fights with the audience. He batters them into submission very, very well. But he trains them very well. I don't. I play with them very well.
But then that comes back down to being true to your own style as well, though.
Yeah, my style is playing. Nigel's is bullying, actually. He won't mind saying that. Yes, he's Sergeant Major. And it's very, very powerful training. He's given me some. It's brilliant.
I'm about aha moments.
Player. Yeah, okay.
I'm with you.
If you play, you play. It's quite fine. So you just.
But my goal is to go. That was awesome. I never thought of that. That's going to change my business.
Okie dokie. Now, do you know who exactly your audience are, and why is it you want to do keynotes?
So keynotes. Number one, they're so much fun. I mean, let's go from personally, my selfish reasons. They're a lot of fun. I get to travel a lot, which I love to do. I make a difference. I make an impact. And it's a lot less draining than a full-day class. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I love my full-day classes, and I get to travel some with a full-day class. But I go for a speaker, even if I'm there 24 hours. Like I was in Vegas. I did a half-day class. I still got a half a day to be in Vegas right before I had to fly home. So that's fun. I like that. Most of my classes are full days. They're phenomenal, but I crash afterwards. It's exhausting. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not being lazy. It's not my, but the idea of it's a lot of fun. There's huge impact right away. I make the VP of sales look fabulous for bringing me in.
Which is all about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. And that's my goal. I'm going into McKesson. I don't know if you know the company McKesson. It's a Fortune 11 company. They're flying me into Atlanta. That's actually a half day. And that's fun. And I make nice money, but I make the same money doing a 45-minute.
Okay. Now the trick is with when you're a trainer and you're a speaker, do not let the speaking overtake your training. Speaking is no more than your marketing tool to get more training, unfortunately. But what you can do is get more training on board by taking more people on to do your training as it's and sort of like syndicated out your methods.
Actually, I've got to interrupt here. I've got to interrupt here because Cindy's dead right, because I was talking about Graham Codrington. He is a speaker, not a trainer. He's just a speaker. That's all he ever does. I do lots of training, and the speaking is on the side and gets me training work. That's
me right now. I want to turn that upside down, and I want to be the speaker that the VP of sales brings in for the kickoff for their sales meeting.
Right. Well, the thing is with because if you're talking about LinkedIn, there's a lot of people in your area. It's something I was talking about earlier. And there's a lot of people that are doing what you do badly. So, of course, when they find a good one like you, they are highly delighted and they want you to come back. And that's always going to be a good sign. Now, if you're then following that up with a program, whatever that program is, be it here's my disc box set, go away with these manuals and do it yourself, or whether it's a case of, look, I'm now going to pass you on to my training team, and all your staff are going to have my training team, but you are going to get me personally. So you do lots of little mini keynotes, as it were, to little groups, but they are at the board level. Then you're actually creating yourself a bit of a two-tier kind of system. But it does mean that you've still got to differentiate yourself from the next person and the other people that are coming into your area, because there's a lot of guys out there who are saying, oh, LinkedIn, I've managed to now get 4,000 people following me. I can now tell you how to do it. And this is how easy it is. So if you are able to, you've now got to start putting some meat and bones on your topic, some real good research where you can then take that and say, look, as a VP, you should have a profile like this and it will net you a return of this. But your team underneath you, don't expect them to do the same as you, because your title gives you X, Y, Z. their title will only give them ABC, and it's your job to help them like this, or their job. You know LinkedIn better than I do, but you will be able to find that little unique spot of what you have noticed about how LinkedIn has helped your clients and the people you've been speaking to, and put figures and facts, data and information on it. Because once you start doing that becomes yours.
So I've got that. I mean, I'm considered in probably the top 5 in the world. Like, I don't have a problem getting the training. If you know the world at all, Coca Sexton, do you know who Coca Sexton is? He founded the social selling movement. He works for LinkedIn. He's the guy. He wrote a foreword to my book saying this is the best curriculum there is.
Wow.
So I've got the training, and I love that. And your advice is awesome. And I do a lot of that, not exactly as focused. So that was very helpful. Mm-hmm. But I think naturally I do a lot of that. I offer a ton of insights to get them excited about what I do.
One thing you need, Bryn, sorry to interrupt, but one thing need is a one sheet. Now, Cindy will tell you what a one sheet is, and it's one side of A4, only one side, with a few bullet points of you, one picture of you, and a few testimonials of what you do, right?
Okay.
One page of A4, and it's quite hard to do. I've done several over the years. It's who you are, what you've got that the booker will want, okay?
Okay.
What you're delivering, okay? And this is for Clarissa as well. What you are delivering, and Cindy will just nod until her head falls off. The speaker booker, and Cindy is a speaker booker, remember, what the people want to hear is what you can bring them that is special from you, so that they can book you safely and confidently, because you got to, reverse it. Both of you, Clarissa and Bryn, reverse it. What does the booker want from you? What? And Cindy's panting now.
I am.
What do they want from you? Okay, over to you, Cindy. Go.
Okay, I've just had a quick look at your Twitter and over to your LinkedIn, and I get why people are actually after you. You've actually, for them, they're looking at you because you're saying, I'm going to monetize LinkedIn for you. I'm going to show you how to make money. I'm going to show you how your sales team are going to make money. Which for them is exactly what it's all about. What you've done is you've taken a topic, you've made it an inch wide but a mile deep.
It's exactly right.
All right. Now, to break out of that, though, you've got to sort of like slightly expand it and go a little bit deeper, because at the moment, all you've done is monetize and sales. Yes. Now you've got to bring in the relationships. Now you've got to bring in the company profile. Now you've got to bring in, so it's still the inch wide, but just going that little bit deeper, but filling it back in. How increasing your profile on LinkedIn increases the sale, increases the monetization.
So I do teach that, but maybe that's not coming across.
If you're getting one part of it bold in your face, then there are other people that are going to copy that, and they're going to do that exactly the same. It's taking it up that next level and showing that you are the go-to person, because there is so much more to it than just a simple, I can get you sales, because you're not differentiating yourself from anyone else. So far, when I'm looking at you from a booking point of view, I'm going to go, okay, I'm looking at somebody who's going to tell the board what making money out of LinkedIn is all about. You get that straight away. It gets there straight away. But I need to know you've got the depth. I need to know what the background is, that you're running a successful, that is actually you're walking the walk, you're doing the talk. I've got to go with that credibility to my guys to actually sell you in.
Okay. So how do I do that?
Then it's getting people to talk about you. It's going back to what Clarissa has been doing, is getting the PR going. It's getting everybody else. The fact that you've got Coco Saxton is in those circles, fantastic. But if your audience doesn't know who he is, then it might as well be Joe Bob. So, secondly, when it comes down to books, you've got one book. But now if you want to be the expert, the first book is no more than just unfortunately, a book is just no more than a glorified business card. So you wrote a book and you wrote it on that one topic. Where's the rest? Where's the more? Where's everything else? I can sit down and write the one book on a one topic with enough research. But if I'm going to be the real expert, I should be able to take that one topic and expand it into different areas, which all relate back to what it is I'm passionate about, that aha moment, that what it is people are getting from it, what it is you're truly transforming and helping them to do. Because by rights, if you're the true LinkedIn expert, everybody in the organization, not just the salesperson, should be able to get something from LinkedIn.
Okay, so it's interesting, and I am processing, because it's interesting, because one of the things, I'm a sales trainer by trade, and I've been a producer for many, many, many years. So I'm currently niche focused on LinkedIn for sales teams. I've been told niching is a good thing. If someone says, I want you to help us write our profile. So here's a perfect example. United Healthcare, they came to me and said, we want to write the profiles of all our top people. I said, great. So I met with the head of marketing remotely for a while, maybe 3 meetings, and I wasn't doing what she needed. And the reason was my goal and the way that I work is that I create profiles that create phone calls.
Okay.
So my profiles get conversations with the right people. And so that's what I create. The CEO of United Healthcare does not want phone calls, ever.
No.
So I'm the wrong person for, and I gave her a lot of great information and helped her focus. But I left that. I mean, they came to me because I'm the LinkedIn person. And I went, I'm not good at that. And that's okay.
It is okay. But it's also finding and understanding what it is you can offer. Because if you're the LinkedIn person, because you can be too niche.
Well, I'm the social selling person.
Right. Okay.
So I go in and I teach social selling, and LinkedIn is the major tool that we use.
Right. Okay. So if that person came in, you said you're not the right person, they still identified that they had a need to do something with that profile, even though it's not selling, but it's still a representative of the company. It's still selling the organization. So it's still manipulating.
Yeah, but they didn't want that at all. They wanted really deep resume stuff.
Right. Why was that?
That's what they, every time I came into anything, no, we want to show all the awards and we want to make, I'm like, you know what? Like, that's not, I can show awards, but for me, it's boring as heck. Like, I mean, I don't think people really care about that so much. What they care about is, what are you going to do for me? You know, what's in it? You know, that's what people care about. So but I realized, and it was a great experience. I loved having that experience. I think I still brought some value to get them in the right track and thinking about case studies and other things that they might not have thought of before.
Yep.
But at the end of this, I realize I am amazing with sales teams and I shouldn't be anywhere else. Marketing, sales and marketing.
Okay.
I shouldn't be anywhere else.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that.
Here's something for you and for everybody else in the room. It's an exercise that you can do with a friend or relative, okay? And it's a very cruel exercise, and it's very helpful. And Rod Sloan, a friend of mine and Cindy's, did it with me 10 years ago, and it taught me so much about speaking. It's called the So What, Who Cares exercise.
I love So What, Who Cares.
Yeah. And so you say, he did it with me. It was 10 or 12 years ago, and he said, okay, Fergus, what do you do? I show people how to use their voices more effectively. So what? Well,
right.
It's to make them much better on stage. Who cares? Well, it's a much better way of being able to speak up for yourself. If you're, I don't care, Fergus. So what? And it makes you focus. If you do it with a friend of yours who's very
I played that game.
It's a brilliant game, and
that's why I'm totally focused on helping salespeople monetize LinkedIn, have more qualified phone calls, and close more business.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wasn't saying it for you, Bryn. I was saying it for everybody else who's listening.
Yeah, no, I love that. I didn't mean to. I mean, that's exactly. I had a marketing person do So What, Who Cares with me, and that's where I ended up.
Yeah,
so, absolutely. But then it's coming back down to sort of like getting your topic a bit more out there and just going where your audience is to actually get the more speaking engagements.
And this is more for Clarissa, because obviously Bryn has got everything nailed. And
no, I don't. I have so much I need to learn. I did not mean to come across that way.
No.
No.
One thing, your green screen needs to be folded out more.
I know.
Do you know what I did? Okay. For everybody
watching,
okay, I bought one of those with 2 great big tripods and a bar across the top. And you roll it down and you roll it across the floor. And then you try to match in an overlay, and every single crease gets in the way of the overlay. It just doesn't work properly. And so what you do what I did.
Okay. Yeah, what is that? That's perfect.
I know it's perfect. I know. Yeah, well, no. Okay, I've got to tell a story because I love storytelling, which is a very good thing for anyone who's doing a speech. And Clarissa, you need one. And Cindy, I've told you over and over, you need one too. Okay?
I've got one. I just need to put it up.
No, I bet you haven't. Well, no, you've got one of those cloth things, haven't you? I bought one. Okay, here's my story. I bought this great big tripod-y thing for only £100 with a great big bar across the top, and it went all the way down the wall and all the way across the floor, and it was just like Bryn's. It had creases all over the place. So I got an iron. Okay.
I got a steamer.
I know. And I went all over it.
I'm living your life.
Steam iron. I know. And I steam ironed it and stretched it and pulled it and sprayed it with water from a little bottle. You know, boom, 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 and boom, 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 boom. And then I sent it back and got my money back. Didn't work because I was using Final Cut Pro. I was using Final Cut Express, and then I used Final Cut Pro. And it didn't work. I mean, look behind you, Bryn. You've got shadows. They're not going to work. You want the creases to come out, and you want it to be blank, one colour. So what I did, having got it wrong, totally wrong, I bought a really cheap roller blind, which was 6 foot wide by 8 foot tall. Okay. Yeah. And I screwed it on my wall and rolled it down and painted it with Oxford Racing green. Okay.
Just paint.
But hang on. I did it with a roller, and I was very pleased with it. And I waited for 3 days for it to dry. I then rolled it up, and the wall was green behind it.
Oh my gosh, it went right through.
Yeah.
So now your wall is green.
Yeah, so I've had to paint that again in Magnolia. I then got a much bigger screen because when I mounted.
You could just have a painted wall, can't you? You don't need a screen.
No, it's patchy. Well, you could, but green is not the best color to have really on a wall because
it's always up.
Okay, yeah, okay, right. Hang on. So I then put that screen up nice and high on the wall, and I realized that to use the camera with that screen, I had to stand on the couch, so that wasn't going to work.
Oh my God,
I've got that wrong. Okay, so I took that one down. I then got an 8 feet wide. I'm talking American now and English, and forget all the metric stuff. I don't know what it is in metric. 8 foot wide screen, right? And the company I bought it from said, well, you could buy an expensive one. No, I have the cheapest you've got. Really, the cheapest you've got. And I pulled it down. It's 8 feet wide and 7 feet tall. Okay. And I painted that the same green, but I was very careful about the wall behind. I only got the odd bit of green go through. Right. So I put that up on the wall, and I did lots of DVT filming with that. However, warning to everybody, because speakers and presenters do need to make their own films indoors and have good background films of you, whether it's a PowerPoint or an office view or House of Westminster or the Senate or whatever. It's nice to have a background and sometimes just duck out and leave stuff behind you. Okay.
Yep. And
however, when I was doing that filming, it was so hot when I was filming with that because I had great big floodlights. Okay. And it was summer. I ended up with bags of ice hanging down my back. Okay. No trousers on, standing in 2 buckets of water with ice, and I still sweated. I had a shirt and tie and a jacket, but it was still too hot. I couldn't do it. So basically, what you need to do is the sort of thing I've done now, which is have a roller blind on a wooden frame that you can move around and even be able to fold the frame up. And then it'll look wonderful and professional, and it's very, very cheap. And look, it's perfect. I've got an uplighter, which is a simple little light, and the main light in the room. So I've got no shadows behind me. You can't have shadows. because it won't bleach out when you do backlighting. And so, Bryn, when you're doing it, you can't use what you've got behind you because it just looks like a green curtain.
So I'll show you what I ordered and should be here tomorrow. If you click through that, you'll see what I will have behind me.
Okay. Having a look now. Getting techie. Oh, yeah, they're brilliant. Yeah, 5x7. Yep. Brilliant. Yeah, that'll work. Jesus, $60. Oh, my God.
Cheap, right?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, no, not as cheap as my blind, mate.
Well, you had to do it 6 times. So
yeah, there is that.
To finally get there. To help Clarissa, one of the things as you, if you want to get more speaking, people have to have an experience of what you are, who you are on your topic. So one of the things that people do are show reels or interviews or some form of video that people can see you on. Now, they don't want to see a bookcase behind. They don't want to see an old wall. And a green screen, what that does is if you sit in front of one of those, you can then give yourself any coloured background you want, which then brings out the best tone and the best features of you. So the eyes are on you and not the shadow or what's going on behind you. Or any marks that could be on your wall that you might not even see, but a conference organizer, a booker might see.
I'm just interrupting.
And they focus totally on you.
You don't want that chair, Clarissa. You don't. It's too big.
Okay.
It's overwhelming you.
Yeah, when I do them, when I'm asked to be on shows, I don't use this chair. It's just, this was such an interesting topic. I wanted to learn, so. And I didn't think, I was going to need like the lights, the cameras, the action to be in this room.
Your whitish wall is good, okay, because it's bland.
It's plain.
But sit on a stool rather than that chair. That's all I'd say.
Yeah. I sit on a chair that it's a director's chair.
Yeah, and your lighting is pretty good. It's a bit one-sided, but other than that, I mean, Cindy's lighting's good. Mine is brilliant, of course. Bryn's is too bright in the front.
Well, that's because she's sitting closely because she was just doing things. But again, it's coming back down to being mindful of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if, like for us, we're using Blab to get information across. Oh wow, that is professional.
Yeah, I had those. Those. Believe me, I had those, and I sent them back because it's impossible to use them. Anyway, sorry. Back to you, Cindy.
So we're using Blab sort of like to give people experience, and the whole idea of my kind of mini sessions of Blab is to make sure that conference organizers, speakers, if we can give one bit of information that helps the audience experience be a little more better, then this has all been worth it. And I'm building up my YouTube content and the followers on YouTube to do and help all with that. And if I'm helping people on the way, great. So I will be getting the green screen in so that we can look even better, and we're increasing everything a little bit more. But as far as green screens go, all it means is that from a technical viewpoint, when you overlay an effect behind you, it's just easier and clearer, and it looks more effective, and it does look like you're in a different room than if you're with a green screen that's got a load of crinkles in it, because suddenly you can't have like an office block picture behind you with all crinkles in the screen. That's why Bryn and Fergus was getting very technical on those, and the fact that she's getting a pop-up screen, fantastic. And it does mean that I'm driving my technical director batty, because he can't drop in a pretend office block behind me because I'm not on a screen that technically they can do it.
It's annoying because you've got just briefly, because I was an electronics engineer for 25 years after being an actor, before I was a coach and a speaker and so on. Okay. Manycam works very, very well with a PC. And I've got Manycam with a beautiful background with my green screen with Cam Twist, but it's not working here, which is really irritating. And I will get it working properly. And
people are using it in Blab.
They are.
But I'm on a Mac, darling.
I'm on a Mac too.
Well, you're not using it, are you? Manycam is great with Cam Twist, but it worked earlier, but it's not working now, which is terrible. But what you've got to do, even if you've got a green screen, even if you don't have a background, And you're right. Yeah, there you are.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Same one I've got, and I can't get it to work.
There you go, Clarissa. This is what happens if you don't use a green screen.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So you have to get out of the way of the picture, and I don't know why mine's not working. It will hopefully soon. But the great thing is to get your lighting blank. Like Bryn's is much better lighting now. It's much better lighting she's got.
She looks fab.
Yeah, but you've got bits of your curtains lit. But your folding green screen will work very well.
Yeah, I'm excited about getting that.
Yeah, I've only got my small one behind me. If we had more time, I'd actually roll it up and you could see what's behind it.
I bought the Zoom Q4. Have you seen this yet? Oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed.
Well, I have to run for a little brief moment, so I'll leave I'll open the seat for someone else, and then I'll just come back to the chat. But I really want to hear more criticism of what I'm doing wrong.
Your white background's lovely, Clarissa, and your face lighting is good as well.
You're beautiful. That helps.
Just ace the chair. Kill the chair. But other than that, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll be back.
Well, thank you for joining us.
So, Cindy, can I just ask you a quick question? I don't want to hog up too much, but first, wait, before I ask, is that the cutest little thing you ever saw?
Oh,
it's a Zoom Q4. It was like $300, and it's HD. It's amazing. Anyway, I love it. It's so cute.
Careful.
Careful. You do not get him going on about techie stuff.
No, don't get me.
I did a blab with him, and he went through 2 suitcases just on mics.
Oh, I have the blue snowball.
No.
You'll have to tell me what to
one of them.
What is that? What's it called?
Road. Is it Road?
Yeah, you've just bought one.
Road. They're expensive.
No, it's
Road
not.
USB.
$200. Less than $200.
How much?
Brilliant. Less than $200.
Really? When I was looking at the Rode speakers, they were in the 1200s.
Well, I've got one of those. Yeah, and it's a big suitcase, and it's gorgeous. And I use it for my professional recordings. My Rode K2. Oh my God, that's the one I use. Yeah, and it's a suitcase half the size of my bed, and you have to restart your computer 3 times to get it working properly with the particular preamplifier, the Focusrite Pro 12.
I think I don't need that much.
No. And the mixing desk. No, we've just bought the Rode NT USB.
It's beautiful. I use it for my. That's horrible, isn't it? I do a lot of voiceover recordings, for companies. I do hundreds of them all the time. And that's my background earnings, right? Trickle.
That's the stuff that pays the mortgage.
Well, yeah, it's like $90 a minute.
What?
Yeah.
I want that job. I don't have a nice enough voice.
No, you can have. Yeah, you can do the American female. No, I could do, welcome to Pepsi Cola Conference. Please enter your room number followed by the hash key. That's it. Right. That is
$90.
No, yeah, well, £60. So whatever it is.
$9. We've just bought one. It's $160.
That's a great gig. That's a great gig.
But I used to use my Rode K2, right? But it took me and for everybody listening to how to get more speaker bookings. Okay. Serious thing about this, because I've done 2 recordings yesterday. One's 9 minutes long. The other one's 20 minutes long. And I'm going to be selling those for like $10 each. Okay. And I want 1,000 people to buy them. Okay. Now, if I do that, if I can get them marketed by my friend David White of GKIC London. Okay. If he's selling it for me, and I'll be at an event with him tomorrow in London. If he's pitching me out there, I can do hundreds of these and I can make a huge amount of money for very, very small outlay. Because it's a thing Tom Antian says, who's a sales trainer. He says, what I want to do is work once and get paid and get paid and get paid and get paid and get paid, rather than work and work and work and work.
So I had that dream once, and I created an e-learning platform for $297, and I get like 4 or 5 sales a month. It's just, and it's an amazing program.
Yeah.
But
it's marketing it at the right price.
Yeah, I'm a salesperson, not a marketer, and I think there's a difference.
Yeah, there is a big difference.
Yeah. So, Cindy, I'm curious. So you book speakers.
She does.
What do you look for when you bring on a client?
If you mean as a speaker client rather than opposed to a corporate client.
Right. Of course.
It's the transferability. It's the appeal. How many audiences can it actually go for? I personally, if I'm dealing and I'm working with a client, because the platform I want to speaker.com is all about clients and speakers finding each other directly, a bit like Trivago or lastminute.com, those kind of things. It's putting the end user direct with the end buyer.
Okay.
When I get involved, I actually look for things that I can identify, because I put myself into the position of the audience. So I will typically deal with the high end, the boardroom, the managers, the VPs, because I understand half of their pains, because I can feel a certain empathy. Now, I know that I find it very hard to sell a speaker who comes in and says, think positive and you too will grow rich. Because to me, it's like, well, where's the ad? Where's the bottom line? Where do you impact on the profit line, the bottom line? Can you show me the money?
Where's the ROI? These people paid 10 grand. Yeah. Where's the ROI?
Absolutely. I can get that having a feel good factor from a sports star or a music star to come in and have lunch with me because I've achieved my top sales
cool.
target. That I get, because that would excite me. Oh great, I've reached my £1 million turnover and now I'm going to have a lunch with Madonna. Great, fantastic. But if you're a nobody, then I still don't get it with book me, come in and I can motivate your team just on think positive, grow rich, and you too can have a wonderful lifestyle like me. Yeah. So from my viewpoint,
and they're all poor.
Absolutely. Half of them are. So from my viewpoint, I do look at people and think, well, how can I monetize, value-wise? What is the value of your topic? Now, value doesn't have to be money. It's moving something and being of use and actually creating something and moving the stage from where it was before. So, for example, a person who can come in and give some piece of information that will make a team go from here to there without calling themselves a motivator, but there is no money involved, they're not having to spend, it's just changing their mindset, is of value, because that will ultimately translate in bottom line. So for example, one chap that I was dealing with quite many years ago, he used to go into companies. He used to get them to do an exercise, and you'd very quickly find out from that exercise if people were company people or not company people.
That's good information.
Absolutely, because for the HR department, the sales department, and those managers, they then knew there's no good actually investing in those guys as they were without doing some form to find out, get them on board as being company people, or are they just sitting there taking a wage and going home each week, and therefore they're not actually contributing to the company. So they've got to do something with them or get rid of them. So when I come across people that have got a generic topic, my first thing is, well, what makes you different from everyone else? So there are so many speakers out there, and it's so easy to get lost in all the noise. Do you know for your topic, do you know how many people are actually talking on LinkedIn, for example, who your biggest...
I know who my biggest competitors are. They're also my friends, and some of them are actually my partners in a new company that we're creating.
Right.
So there are 9 of us that are starting an online subscription coaching business.
Okay.
So, which I'm excited about, and we're 9 of the top 25 in the world. So that's exciting.
Collaboration.
Yeah. So I do know who they are. I know what they're charging. I know who's hiring them. It's interesting though. The speakers in my space are terrible. The trainers are very good.
But not all of them can become good speakers.
Yeah, and so I want to be, and there are a couple, so for example, I won't say any names. There's one guy who runs a phenomenal business in Canada. He's hired all the right people. He's doing a great job, and he is a phenomenal speaker. But he's not a trainer at all. at all. Now, that being said, I mean, his business, it's a multi-million-dollar, I mean, he's very successful, and he's a phenomenal speaker. He doesn't do training. His staff does training, and they have e-learning and other things that they do. And I love to listen to him. And while I'm listening to him, I'm like, that's brilliant. And then I look, I'm like, no, it's just, he has a lot of stats and a lot of kind of where the world is moving and why you need to be doing this, but there's nothing implementable.
Absolutely.
What's that?
Absolutely. He's taken it to the next level, which is what I was talking about to you earlier. But because he's not doing the training, he's not got his ear on the ground. Hence why I said, make sure speaking doesn't overtake the training. It's very easy to get so wrapped up in the speaking and let that become the lead of your life that actually you lose touch.
Yeah, there is that. It's like the Back to the Floor thing. There was a TV series in England called Back to the Floor. And what they did, they got very senior executives of companies to go anonymously to work on the floor, like at McDonald's and
we had that. It was
Undercover Boss.
Undercover Boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were shocked by what they discovered, because there is the problem. Like when I was about to train all the very senior executives at the biggest rail company in this country, I did my research. And one of the research bits I did was speak to a friend of mine who used to drive underground trains, and then he ended up being head of engineering for the whole of the London Transport Network. And I said, what training have you had in how to train senior executives? And what he said was, we're all in silos, Ferg. Right, I won't do his accent anymore. Anyway, the thing is that all the senior executives are in a silo. Right, so this is something for everybody in this room to think about, who to get more speaker bookings. This is actually very important. That all the let's say it's a board of a very big company that you want to speak for, and I know I covered this one once before with Cindy. So if people have missed it, well, they'll just have to go and listen to the
recording.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody tells the managing director or the CEO the truth. They tell the truth of their department, which is to protect their department. Okay.
Right.
Now, it's not the real truth. It will be, yes, we've done X, Y, and Z, and we did it very well. And the CEO, therefore, gets completely disconnected from what's actually happening in their company.
That happens
Yeah. And so one of the jobs of the speaker trainer, I'm a speaker trainer. I know that. I was talking about Graham Codrington earlier. He's a great speaker. He's not a trainer at all. He doesn't train. He doesn't want to train. That's fine. He just speaks. That's fine. I'm a speaker trainer, stroke coach.
I think I am too.
Yeah, I think you are, Bryn. Definitely you are. And so what you've got to think about is, and for everybody who wants to get more speaker bookings, and I'm sure Cindy will agree with this. Well, if she doesn't agree with me, she will. She will later, right? She's a naughty girl, but she will agree with me. That you've got to, as a speaker, think, what does the group I'm speaking for need?
Yes.
But you've also got to think about, what do they want? Because you've got to give them what they want without them realizing you're also giving them what they need. Okay?
Yeah. Oh. And I love that. My question is then, how do I get that message in front of the right people? Because when I'm talking to these folks, I'm selling training. And it's I don't even know how to sell the speaking.
I do. This is my world, Cindy, so I'll come in here. Yeah. Bryn. Okay. Right. What you do, you go to the large company, right? And you get as close as you can to the top person. Now, do not expect I got this one from Chet Holmes, who's dead now, unfortunately. Chet Holmes was utterly brilliant. And he said, do not expect the PA to the senior executive to sell you. You're the only person who can sell you.
I agree.
But what you need to do is get the opportunity to speak to the CEO or the CFO or the CTO or whatever the letters are that they give themselves. And what you've got to do that with is, I did this with several very large companies in England. And I phoned in and I said, who's in charge of training for your company? I want to speak to the head of training for your company.
You can find them on LinkedIn, actually.
Exactly. Yeah, but you need to get somebody, the PA, to the head of training to say, oh, here's the email. Do you know why you do that? Because then you can send an email saying, your PA has suggested I write to you and suggest that what I can do for your company is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You need that phone call. You need the phone call.
And so I love that idea. What I use LinkedIn for is to find out who can make an introduction for me.
Yeah.
I have no problem talking to the right people. I'm just selling them training.
Okay. If you're doing the training at the moment, sorry, I'm just going to come back and I'm going to play a bit of a devil's advocate. How much training do you do at the moment, and how much speaking do you want to do to the training?
So right now, live full-day classes are 1 to 2 a month. I do about 6 to 8 private webinars a month. And I have a consistent twice a month free 1 hour speaking training at a local executive suite.
Okay.
And I actually have a barter with them. So I do 2 hours a month and I get an office. So it's a really cool thing. I probably shouldn't say that on recording, but that's done. So anyway, but so
I'll let you
I have a place to send people to see me speak for free twice a month, sometimes 3 times.
Okay. Now here's
record those speaking.
I've got lots of recordings.
Right. Here's a neat trick for you. Now you're in a potentially awkward situation with going in with this new company with your 9 other guys as well, who are speakers and trainers. Because if you start making this transition, you're going to upset some of those guys, because some of them are going to be wanting to do what you're doing and can't figure out how you're doing it. And others feel that you're going to be stepping on their toes and it's their area that they should be doing and not you. Even if you've already set it up that geographically you're going to do this and they're going to do that.
Yeah, no, we own our own businesses completely. We already know that we're friendly competitors and we may go up against each other, and we've discussed that, and that's separate from this other business that's going to make us really wealthy.
One thing I know about with speaking and the speaking industry is the normal rules of business go out of the window.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. Because now what you're actually doing, this is the one business where emotions actually top trump business sense.
We don't use the word Trump here anymore. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's an embarrassment.
Okay, beats it hands down. Okay.
Yeah.
So bear that in mind. Now, one of the tips that I've used in the past is, if you're going into a company and you're doing training, from now on, part of your program will look like this. I'll do your training, but I will do 5 workshops will be with my associate, 1 workshop will be with me, and I will do a sum up speech at your next annual get together monthly meeting of your sales team, where I will do a speech for you. And that way you are selling yourself in as a package for that speech already. And then the way to expand that out from the sales to the rest of the company is saying, look,
I love that.
From your sales, so that we can get this company wide, because we need the buy-in of the accounts team, we need the buy-in from your marketing team, we need the buy-in from your customer services team. I want to do a speech at your next annual get-together, so we can actually pull this all together and make this a solid impact thing, so that everybody knows what you guys are doing and how much hard work you guys are putting in and how much hard work you guys have actually put on the table and brought in through doing this.
Brilliant. That's what I needed. That was it. That was my bingo, my aha moment.
And then that's why I was saying earlier, make sure whilst you are inch wide, mile deep. You will have to put in that work to make sure that every single department in that organization feels that your topic is now totally relevant to them and not just the sales department. Yeah. It's bringing in, because one of the biggest problems that sales department is seen by the accounts department and everybody else is necessary bloody evil guys. If it wasn't for them, we'd have a good company, because they demand this. They say to clients that we can do that when we can't do that. They promise the earth and say that we're doing something. Don't they know we're already over capacity? So to the rest of the company, they already have this kind of unwritten kind of charisma about them. But the sales team, their argument is, well, without us, we're bringing sales, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have a job.
Right.
So if you're going to step outside of this particular department and it's all about your topic, then make that transition easy for them. Put in the reasons why these guys need to get behind the sales team, why the sales team need the other departments. And that's why you then become the link person to be able to talk to the rest of the organization. And that, if you go down that, will then upset your fellow guys in your fellow 8. Don't be.
Why do you think so? Why do you think that would upset them?
Because they'll start seeing that you're doing events and doing more speeches and going up the ladder a little bit more than they are, and it's all vying for top space. And if they think and their perception feels that you have moved out from your level playing field, because at the moment you'll be joining like this, and this is where I wish Clarissa was with us, because it's coming back down to human behavior, the hygiene factors, and Henry Mintzberg and all the rest of it for the pecking order stuff.
We are all relatively financially successful in our current business. And I mean, I'm the one that started. I actually own 52% of the company. And I think a lot of the people were really happy to partner with me because I already have that and I'm bringing that. So I hear you, and I will keep it in the back of my mind. But I think they see that they're going to be they're already making money too. I haven't brought in anyone that isn't successful at this, because it's social selling. And if you can't be financially successful at this, you shouldn't be teaching it.
Absolutely. But most people, when you actually ask most employees, what's the single thing that's got to change around here? What's the one thing you want to be? Is, I want to be the boss or sack the boss. So when you're at the top, you've got to stay and run hard, and that will always bring other feelings. So yes, you've done the groundwork, you've put everything in, and it's just making sure and keeping an eye on it.
I hear your words are with me. I hear them. I don't see that happening in this particular group, but I will keep your words in my head.
It's the challenge of success, Bryn. It's the challenge of success. That as you get more successful, things come up. There's my brother is a program and project management consultant. Okay, and there's a thing he developed with the British government, which is the 22 essential questions, like who benefits from what you're doing, who is threatened by what you're doing, who is going to sidewind you or left field you later on when you're successful. And that's the sort of pattern you've got to draw out as a sort of mind mappy type thing. Okay, who's going to gain from this, which is what Cindy's saying. And if they gain from it, will they want to gain more? Or will they want to keep supporting you, or will they want to dump you and take over? That's the sort of next stage. I mean, it's more about
if it makes me 7 or 8 million, they can dump me. That's all.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, I have a number, right?
Okay.
I have a number, and if I hit that number, that I need that number.
Okay.
Everything above and beyond. If they don't, I mean, really, I know that sounds ridiculous, but. I'm in the training because I'm in my space because I love it. The new company that I'm doing is for the long-term money.
Fantastic.
Okay.
It sounds like you have everything.
One thing I'd say, Bryn, is...
But I have your words are in my head. Good. Don't get me wrong. I heard it.
Okay.
I heard
One thing I would say, to get back to how to get more speaker bookings, okay, Cindy mentioned it earlier, and bless her, she's left now, and I've forgotten her name, which is terrible of me.
Clarissa.
Clarissa, yeah, bless her. what can you keep selling to people over and over as a speaker?
That's my new business.
Now, Nigel Rizner, who Cindy and I were talking about earlier, he sells lots of stuff. So does Peter Thompson, another top speaker in the UK. And what they do a presentation or speech, and they have stuff at the back of the room that they can quietly sell on and on and on. And that's not just products, it's services. No, not just a book. Bryn, you've got a lot more than a book in you. You've got a lot more.
Oh, well, that's the new company is the services. Okay. So the new company is a $99 a month subscription.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it alone. I just don't have, so I brought in partners. Ultimately, there's 36 hours a month of coaching time that any subscriber can hop into any of us.
What, 36 hours for $99?
Yep.
Oh, that's too much.
No, it's public time. It's not one-on-one coaching, it's group coaching.
Okay.
So there are 36, each of us, there are 9 of us, and it's 4 hours a month that each of us go on, and it's public.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right. And so they have available to them 36 hours for $99 a month, whatever time. We're hoping we have one in the UK. So we're waiting to hear if it's our last 9th person. I'm going to find out Friday if he's in.
Okay. I'm in the UK,
then,
by the way, Bryn.
That?
I am in the UK, Bryn.
Yeah. No, but you're not a LinkedIn expert.
No, I'm a speaking expert.
Well, you know what? We'll talk. Maybe there's a role for you.
Maybe we'll talk. Okay, Bryn. Okay. No, I work with Dan Kennedy's GKIC in London, and I'll be there tomorrow afternoon. And someday Cindy's going to be able to get there and be blown away by it.
But you can take my model and do that for speaker.
I don't need your model, Bryn. I've got Dan Kennedy's model, and he's a billionaire. So I'm quite happy to use his model.
Well, then I should take his model.
Yes, you should.
That's why I'm trying to get along to GCQ so I can get it too.
Yeah. No, Cindy.
I don't even need to be a billionaire. Just a 7 millionaire. That's all I need.
That'll do. Okay, it's great. You've got a figure. Actually, you've got a number, which is brilliant.
Man.
And so I'm getting back to getting more speaker bookings. I know we've wandered off into all sorts of other
so
things.
That's the end, and then I'll hop off because I have been monopolized so much at this time, and I apologize.
It's lovely. It's lovely to have you in here.
Got an aha, which is brilliant.
I have that. That was a big aha. That was the moment, which I think is awesome. So I love that, the package deal.
Yeah.
And I have to start thinking about that, and I think that's great. In fact, I'm going to go back to my sales training clients and offer them a new package.
Good.
With all the new things. So, that was a great aha moment. And hopefully I would be able to help you, Cindy. And is it Fergus?
Yes,
Fergus.
It is. Yeah,
Fergus. So I would love to be able to help you any way I can. What do I need to do to get on your matchmaker website? Do I just go on and go...
Yeah,
I want to speak.com and fill it out?
Absolutely. There's just a lovely little button there saying register, and it's free for speakers to register.
Yeah.
Excellent. I am going to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just let Cindy do all the work. I just speak. That's all. Cindy does the work. I just speak.
I love it. I am going to free you up to help other people the way you've helped me. And you've been awesome. This has been amazing. Wait, I got to make sure I'm following you on Twitter before I hang up.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything else we can help with, then do shout. And
I do lots of free stuff all the time. As Cindy knows, I do lots of free on phone, on Skype, and all that sort of thing. Lots of free support.
Well, you see, that's why we built the website that we did. You see, because it's automated contracts, automated invoicing, automated collect the money into an escrow account so the clients feel happy. It means you can actually put free engagements through the pro bono work and get your reviews still. So you still get client still gets a benefit, and you still get a benefit.
Yeah.
Is surname last name?
Surname is last name in English. Yeah.
I knew that. And
Christian name is now called first name. I'm not even a Christian, but my first name or my Christian name is Fergus.
So my name is Bryn, but my Hebrew name is Bracha.
Oh, I like that. It's much nicer.
Then Bryn, so you can all call me Bracha.
No, Bryn's like ordinary. Well, it's not ordinary, but
it's not. It's ordinary. American. It's ordinary in the UK and Wales. In America, it's a cool name.
No, in Wales and England, it's a man's name, and it's just Bryn.
Yes, right. And the female version is NN, is the double N.
Yeah, but I've never seen one. I've never met one. There's a great comedian here called Bryn something. I can't remember his second name. He's Welsh. And I've never come across a Bryn with double N-E. But
I guess just like everything else, we've bastardized that too.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lovely, lovely friend in Oregon who's got this incredible Jewish name, and her English one is just ordinary.
Do you remember them?
No.
Oh, there you go. Anyway.
You guys are awesome. I'm filling out my profile now, so I have to go.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll have a look and I'll verify you. Get all that sorted.
I have to say, bye,
bye.
babe.
Thank you.
Bye, Bryn. I have to say, Cindy, I've had in my life, which is very, very long and much longer than yours, and I could be your grandfather, darling.
You can't. It's wonderful. Wonder what Polyphila can do nowadays.
I can't quite be your grandfather, but I could try. Okay.
No.
But I've had 5 girlfriends who were Jewish, and that includes my very first girlfriend. And that was lovely. She taught me to smoke, and I taught her strip poker.
Wonderful team. Obviously, very entertaining evenings. Anyway, okay. I'm going to say that we've been going for 2.5 hours. You do know this.
I know. It's pathetic, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, for our 30 minutes, we seem to sort of like keep on going on a bit.
That's all right. Hopefully, lots of people have learned lots of stuff and they love us to bits, and they'll be on our next one. Who knows what they'll learn from it?
Well, I've already got from tonight. I think we need to talk about how to handle audiences.
Okay, I'll do that one. Yeah.
Because that's the one thing that I know with heckling, with conference organizers, and it's the one scary thing as well that I found with a lot of speakers is what happens when an audience goes bad on you, or how to whip them up so that they actually will engage with you, participate, or actually just will do things with you. Because that's one of the speakers' worst nightmares is when they say, show me hands. And actually, you hear nothing. Nobody gives anything.
Brilliant.
I think we need to cover those.
Exactly how to do that. I'm going to be doing it tomorrow afternoon anyway. So this would be hopefully everybody, because I'm going to be doing it tomorrow afternoon, and I'll do it very well. And I'm not being arrogant here. It's just many, many, many years of practice since 1955. Okay, that's the truth, actually. Okay, believe me, everybody, next week, same time, same back channel. Same time. Okay. I will show you, if you're interested, how to make an audience love you and work with you and want to buy from you, whatever it is you've got. I will show you how to do it if you come back at the same time, 10 p.m. UK time, next Wednesday. If you don't come back, you won't learn. If you do, you'll learn serious amounts of stuff free of charge, because it's the stuff people pay me serious amounts of dollars or pounds for a day of training.
How to work the room.
Yeah. Working the room.
Working the room.
And I know the people who do it.
Working a room. Working the room.
How to work the room. Oh, I like that. How to work the room. Yeah.
How to work the room. Okay. Thank you very much, Fergus. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. You've been a wonderful crowd tonight. And I've loved the comments as well at the side. And thank you very much for our hot seat guests as well. Always making it a wonderful interactive session. Thank you very much.
Been brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now. Bye.
You've been listening to a podcast by the Guild of Speakers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help us to get our message out. If you would like to know more about the Guild of Speakers, go to guildofspeakers.club or scan the QR code below.